where you and I
Nobody
just
cared.
and you.
But
That's where
because it
you.
was Trump,
Yeah, we
then
just
it
no.
was.
It's not because it was Trump. It's because of the nature of how it was done. If the Democrats you're talking about were climbing the walls and busting the windows to get into the building and things like that, like you're talking about, I would be on your side. You're talking about people who were just standing up, compared to people who were coming in, calling out the names of senators they wanted to harm and wanted to harm the vice president.
So,
If they were doing that, I would agree with you.
so May 29th, 2019, when protesters were trying to attack the White House and they had to bring Trump down to the bunker. I know you don't remember that, but I do.
Okay.
Okay. And the news spent days laughing at him.
How did
They thought
the
it was they thought it was the funniest thing ever. They set a guard shack on fire. They were firebombing stuff. They set that church on fire, and they blamed Trump for it.
and what day did this happen? What date did you say this happened?
May 29, 2019.
So that's when Biden was. I mean, that's when Trump was in office. Has Biden referred to any of those people as patriots and said it was a? Keep in mind all of the positive things Trump said about what happened that day. Has any
No,
Democrat in power
but
said anything like
I
that?
sure as hell don't remember a commission on it. I don't remember a commission on in Seattle when they attacked a federal courthouse for 100 days straight. I don't remember any commission on that either.
Right. Well, then I'm
You know,
gonna I'm
unfortunately, we
gonna.
forget. We focus on this one thing so hard, and we forget everything else that happened that year. Everything else.
But you,
None of that other stuff ever mattered.
because
It was all peaceful and happy and wonderful.
Because you,
Remember the
you're
summer
saying
of
we
love?
you're saying we focus on this one thing and now because of the significance of it, Twisted. I mean, it came from the president. You Black Lives Matter, a bunch of random people, a bunch of random people protesting.
I hear what you're saying.
It's not the
I hear
same.
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. Listen, I do. I hear what you're saying. But again, when people were literally attacking a courthouse, I watched the damn video. I watched it happen live. No, I wasn't there. I was watching it on TV. But the fact of the matter is, did he send anybody in? And when one person got arrested, they were screaming, "It's the Gestapo! It's the Gestapo!" I mean, are you kidding me?
Can I ask you?
Nobody gave a
Then why
shit about
all of this?
people there.
Notice all of this stuff we're discussing happened under Trump's watch. Why didn't he do anything about it if it's so bad?
And if he had, what would have happened?
He's gonna get criticized. I don't care if the man cures cancer, he's gonna get criticized. So Trump doesn't give a damn about how people feel.
That's the nature of this. The whole thing. No matter what he does, he's wrong. Look at this guy, pimp over here in the comments. Everything Trump does is wrong. Don't matter what it is.
But twisted. Wait, hold on. Twisted.
It's wrong. It's bad. It's horrible.
Twisted. Hold on.
It's overwhelmingly. This is just
Twisted. Wait a minute. You do realize Jesse Waters of Fox News asked President Trump, did Obama do anything right for America? And he said no also. Every president has people that believes he can't do a damn thing right. That's just part of being the president.
You're right. Every president does. But this is the overwhelming majority of leftists, from my perspective, from what I've seen and who I've talked to. Nothing the man does is right, and they will fight tooth and nail to make sure that he fails in every way, shape, or form.
Right. And you believe that you believe that the Democrats would never get Trump a chance from day one. Do you see where Trump or the Republicans gave Biden any kind of credit or chance from day one at all? Have they said anything favorable about him at all? I mean, this is part of being a president.
I've had people say several favorable.
Like what? Like, give me an example. Give me an example. Something that maybe Trump has said favorable about Biden.
I don't know about Trump.
Now, one thing, Trump ain't said one thing about him.
Every word the man says, okay?
I'm not asking for everything. Just give me anything he said favorable.
I obsess over Trump. I do not listen to his speeches. I don't listen to Biden's speeches either. I don't sit around listening to this stuff all day. I've got better things to do with my time.
Then why are you defending it?
Coming out of somebody's mouth, okay? But I talk to people because people are more important to me, okay, overall.
And what
people have said some good things about
like Biden. What?
The CHIPS Act, the CHIPS Act, for instance. We all like that.
And I think people have said some out of the way favorable things about Trump. The fact is, though, if you're president, the other side is gonna hate your ass. I don't know all of a sudden why when Trump became president, it was all of a sudden it was awful to hate the president. The last guy before him was born in Kenya, damn it. And he was saying that.
Look.
That's what happens.
I don't disagree with you on that fact. I think, and this is why You guys want to know why we don't get good presidents anymore? Because I've heard this, that we don't have good presidents. We don't have those good people up there like we used to have, say, 50 years ago. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You've heard this. You've heard this as well.
I've heard it. I've heard it. Yeah.
And you want to know why?
Why?
It's because of this shit. It's because you have to be the biggest narcissist, okay? And all of them are. Every one of these presidents we've had is a narcissist, because you have to get up there and know that as soon as you get in that office, as soon as you win that vote, half the country hates you instantly.
I thought we liked the narcissist though.
No, we don't.
Have you seen the photo of?
I remember. Hold on, wait. I remember in 2015, okay, before Trump got elected, they were comparing him to the Mustache Man, okay?
Okay.
And his personality traits. And then someone came along and said, well, we can do the exact same thing with Hillary and every other candidate that we have. We can all see those same personality traits, because you have to have it. Because
I don't, but it didn't start. I disagree with you. It started with, I got pictures of Obama looking like the Mustache Man. They were saying that about Obama before Trump came along.
No. I'm talking about this is an ongoing thing. This has been happening. I'm not talking about just recently. I'd say in the last 20 years, okay?
Well,
I mean, when was the last time we had a good president that everybody got behind?
Reagan.
Exactly. And since then, we get the worst people up.
But here's the difference, though.
Not good.
But here's the difference, though. We could talk about good and bad presidents and people not getting behind presidents. But I think Obama talked about they clinging to their Bibles and guns. And then, of course, Trump just took it to a whole new level. But I think that's when it started to get to a point where it wasn't just the citizens criticizing the president. Now we have presidents talking about whole groups of people. Like I said, when Obama talked about they cleaning their Bibles and guns, the Republican Party didn't like that shit at all. And then when Trump got elected, he actually almost put a patent on talking about people and insulting citizens. We didn't used to have that. It was only the citizens who criticized the president. The president didn't throw dirt and shade back at the people. We now have that.
And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
You think this is going to get any better? You think when Trump's gone, this is going to somehow magically fix itself? It's only going to get worse. The decisiveness is so bad now that this is all we talk about all day, right? All freaking day.
I don't know. If Trump gets in there and gives us...
You can scroll on here on any given day, and you'll find groups of people talking about how Trump is the worst person who's ever lived, and you'll find other groups saying Trump is the best person who's ever lived. Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
Now, if Trump gives us $2 gas, if Trump gives us $2 gas, restores the economy, lowers crime, and all this other great shit he's promising, that will drop. I mean, people don't like Trump. I get it. He likes to insult. That does spark it off. But if he's doing really good for the people as a whole, and he's not attacking groups of people like he did the first time, I think you'll see the favoritism toward him grow. I mean, keep in mind, as much as people did not like Trump, as much as they didn't give him a chance from day one, he was firing back at whole groups of people. If he was just standing there taking that shit, like when Kanye West said George W. Bush doesn't like black people, and George W. Bush didn't fire back, you don't have to get involved in every fight you're invited to. If he does not show up to all them fights, I think you'll see a better Trump. I got to move it on, though, man.
Well, hold on.
Real quick.
Just let me hit back on 1 second. When they said that about George Bush, and they also called him a weak president, too. Because he didn't fight back.
That's going to happen.
So, again, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. That's my whole point.
But you don't have to get involved in those fights. It doesn't help you. If somebody says some dumb shit about you as a president, and you get on TV or on the internet and say things back about them, as a president, that's not helping you. Just let that shit go, like we often say about Trump or January 6th or Haitian migrants. When are we going to get past that? He needs to do that.
Okay, but we could say the same thing about what Biden is doing right now. What we started talking
Biden's
about
gone.
Early.
Biden's history.
But he's not. He's causing problems right now. Right before he leaves, he's causing as much problems as he can. And has that helping the issue? No, it's just making it worse.
Okay.
It's just making it worse. So
okay,
as petty as Trump is.
But saying the same thing about Biden is not going to help Trump. If Biden is being an asshole, fine. We can talk about Biden being an asshole. But that ain't helping Trump by saying, well, somebody else is doing it too. That ain't helping Trump.
But You see where this is leading? You're not getting the point. This
No,
is getting us
the
nowhere.
point is simple. You
It's
don't
going
have
to.
to. Hold on.
We the
No,
people
no,
will
no, no,
suffer
no.
from this.
The point is simple. You don't have to show up to every fight you're invited to. Your response was, "Well, Biden is doing it too." That's what you said. What about Biden too? That ain't helping out Trump.
You started this whole conversation talking about what Biden was doing.
All right. It was
This whole
in
thing
Biden is
started
trolling.
about
Biden is
You
trolling.
said trolling. I said sabotaging. I said he's spitting in the face of the American people.
All
I'm
right.
saying he's making everything worse on his way out the door.
I believe that to some degree.
He's farting when he leaves the car. You get what I'm saying? And shutting the door behind him.
All right. I gotta go. Spartan before you get out of the car. I've never heard. I know what you're talking about because I've done it on purpose. This is what we're talking about. You guys heard us going back and forth. By the way, tap the screen, get the lights on up. You know how this program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor. We're MAGA friendly. We've always been that way, always will be. Biden is trolling Trump. At least that's my opinion, but I want to get your opinion from this as well. Now, my last guest said it's not trolling. It's almost kind of like sabotaging. What are we talking about? He is selling the wall. You see on the monitor behind me, that's a picture of Trump today on Fox News, holding a news conference. And he is literally begging Biden to stop selling the components of the wall. Now, Trump wanted to build the wall his first term, purchased a lot of materials. That's the taxpayer money that paid for that stuff. And now Trump only served one term. The wall was not completed. So those materials have been sitting around down on the southern border since Trump left office. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Biden has decided to sell the materials as scrap for pennies on the dollar. So Trump was on television today, literally begging Biden to stop selling the wall, suggesting that when he purchased the materials to build a wall during his term, they were significantly cheaper than it would cost to buy that stuff now. And he's also saying that people have bought some of the components to build the wall that Biden has sold for scrap at a fraction of the price. And now they're trying to sell it back to the United States at current prices, which Trump estimates to be about 3 times as much. So he's begging Biden, stop selling my damn wall. Why would Biden do that? That's what we're talking about, trolling. In addition to that, though, Biden has also made an app to make it easier for immigrants to register for court dates and things like that without having to show up. So he's also negating Trump's expected immigration policies. We'll talk about that. In addition to that, Trump promised to end the Russian-Ukrainian war in 24 hours. What did Biden do? He gave Zelensky, president of Ukraine, the ability to escalate the war that Trump is talking about he's going to end, allowing Zelensky to fire rockets deeper into Mother Russia. So that's certainly going to hurt Trump's chances of ending the war so quickly as he's promised if the Ukrainians can now bomb within the heart of Russia. Biden all of a sudden decided to do that as of late. And last but not least, there is a possibility, many would suggest a likelihood, that all of the individuals that Trump has been flirting with, investigating, indicting, maybe even arresting, Biden is likely to pardon them. Everybody from General Milley to James Comey to Dr. Fauci, Merrick Garland. Is Biden trying to troll Trump? In other words, trying to sabotage many of his plans on his way out. That's what we're talking about, as always. And now somebody also mentioned we'll talk about it again a little bit before I go to the box and to the comment section. But there indeed was another mass casualty event at a school today in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know. Has anybody heard any update on the total loss of lives? I've heard everything from two. I've heard everything from two school children losing their life in this event, plus the shooter. I've heard as high as 12. How many students? Has anybody heard how many students officially lost their life down there in Madison? But we did talk about this earlier, and I'm asking a simple question of: do we even care about children dying in schools anymore? Because this keeps happening, and I don't know if any of us can point to any type of solution that we've even tried in this country. I mean, I don't care if you're in a red state, you're in a blue state, you're in a liberal city, you're in a Republican. Has anybody really made any serious effort to stop this from happening in schools? On either side of the aisle. On either side of the aisle. Now, the Democrats believe it's solved likely by gun control. So you see in some Democratic cities, they've tried to limit access to guns. The right thinks they're fucking nuts that limiting firearms does nothing to stop people from getting popped. Fair enough. The right, on the other hand, don't believe you should touch firearms. They believe it is mental health. Now, the liberals believe it's guns. Right or wrong, you have seen laws from the liberals addressing gun access. And many would say their laws have failed, but you have seen them passing laws trying to do something about gun access. The right believes it's mental health. I haven't seen any laws from the right addressing mental health. Maybe you guys can tell me something different. My humble opinion, if the right believes that the issue is mental health, there should be far more availability for mental health services in right-wing areas than left-wing areas. I'm not certain that's true. I'm not certain where it is much easier to get treated for mental health in Texas than it is in Illinois. But the right is saying it's mental health. I'm gonna ask you folks, have you seen a huge push by the right to address mental health? If that's what they believe is causing the deaths of children, have you seen any evidence to suggest they're trying to address that? So going back to the box, Alan Quinn says Republicans will offer thoughts and prayers with zero actions. Yikes. Alan, I think America's certainly done that. America has certainly offered enough thoughts and prayers to children losing their lives in schools. And I think at this point, no one could argue that that is going to be effective. I mean, we've probably had damn near 1,000 mass casualty events in this country in schools since the Columbine issue back in '99. 25 years, he probably had about 1,000 of them. Probably about 1,000 of them. Thoughts and prayers ain't gonna work. I think that's pretty clear. Let me go back to the box. Live spelled backwards is evil. Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it. Love to Cruz. Good evening. Welcome to the program. You are okay with Trump murdering our generals and Liz Cheney, and how would you feel if someone is going to kill you and you're just as crazy as Trump? Prove me wrong. What, James? What are you getting at? Wow. What are you trying to say there? Love the Cruz. Good evening.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Is Biden trying to troll Trump on the way out, trying to sabotage his presidency?
Man, you got to come up with a better word. This is the president of the United States. He ain't got to troll no damn body.
You don't think
That's
Trump?
what Trump does.
Okay, so
He trolls people, talking about cats and dogs and all that. Biden doesn't troll. Come on, man.
so what is he doing then?
Now,
What is he doing?
he beating Trump to the punch. I personally didn't know there was a bunch of material left over. And my belief is Trump would have went ahead and sold it to somebody anyway.
Why would Trump sell the material that would be needed to build?
He had 4 years in there. Why didn't he build the wall?
He did build some of it.
Yeah, 4 years. He
built-
built some of it. Exactly. Some of it.
Wait,
So it's
are
a
you telling
half-ass
me?
job for a half-ass president?
Well, wait a minute. Love to Cruz. He was getting resistance. Trump wants to build a wall. I don't think that's arguable. He was getting resistance to building it.
How do you get resistance if we have material?
Courts, the system.
Pardon me?
I believe the Democrats are at play. The system, I mean, taking them to court. They were trying to stop him from building a wall. It wasn't like all of Washington was on board when he was in office. Go ahead, build a wall we all needed. No, they were fighting against that.
Well, if he knew they were fighting, then why purchase the materials in the first place?
He expected to win.
Isn't that useless? Isn't that spending our money?
Well, it's putting the cart before the horse, but he was expecting to win.
Well, like I said, I don't think Biden is trying to purposely affect his presidency by selling material. I think he's just nipping them at the pass before he can do all this dumb stuff he's trying to do.
What dumb
Pardoning
stuff?
all these people. You going to talk about prosecuting generals?
Yeah, Milley. Yeah,
Come on, man. Come on.
he wants to do
Come
that.
on, man.
Well, but wait a minute. Let me put on my MAGA hat. In defense of Trump, General Milley did go outside of the chain of command. He had no right to contact an adversary like China and promised him that he wouldn't take a direct order from Trump if he didn't like the order. I mean, he is a candidate to be court-martialed.
Okay, we only know that side. What if China came to him and said, what the hell going on? this is going to trigger World War III.
It-
And in his defense, he's like, well, look, it isn't what you think.
he did.
Calm down. This is what is going on. And I promise you, before we do anything, I will let you know.
I believe the reason we know all this is because General Milley wrote a book and he put in there what he did, and he did a lot more than what you're saying. He reached out to China and told them that. He put that in his own damn book. So that's why we know about, because he didn't think Trump would be president again and the liberals would have had his back. But he actually told the story that he reached out and assured them that if Trump gave some kind of wild or rogue order, that they didn't have to worry about us following it. And he never told the president, the commander in chief, that he had been speaking to his counterpart. That's outside the chain of command.
Maybe, but sometimes you have to go to the extremes.
You
We're talking
can't do
about
that. You
nuclear
can't do that in the
warfare here.
military. You can't do that in the military. You can't go to the extreme and go outside of your commanding office and do whatever you want. You can't allow that.
But don't you think this is extreme here? Is this not extreme for this guy to have all the codes to all the nuclear weapons, and you don't know if he's a firecracker or what, but you're stopping nuclear war?
Well, if you're wrong, though, you're going to be held accountable for being wrong. Some would point out that we've had Trump in office for 4 years, and he didn't come close to doing anything like that. So,
That we know.
huh?
That we know.
Yeah.
We don't know everything.
No, that's true.
You
But
never know. So if this man is willing to put his career on the line, he's a dedicated general. He didn't get there by breaking orders, and he's willing to do this. Don't you think there's some smoke that he was looking at?
but he
And he was
could.
trying to stop the fire.
But he could be wrong, Leather Cruz. He could have saw smoke when there was none. He could have just wrongfully judged Trump. Which and
And this,
go ahead.
well, okay, by being wrong, who's gonna be in trouble? Him.
Him.
But what if he's right? What if he was right? He just saved everybody.
I mean, fine,
So he's willing to-
but he wasn't right though. That's the problem.
We don't know that.
Yeah, we do know that because
I
if
didn't know
if
that.
he was right, he would have wrote in his tell-all book that he indeed stopped an order that came from Trump. Trump never issued the order, so he was wrong.
Well, just because it issued the order doesn't mean it wasn't talked about.
You can't have lower-ranking people thinking on their own and saying they won't follow orders from higher ranking people before the order is even given. You do realize that goes against the way the military works, right?
Man, you act like this is a private out of boot camp. this is a 5-star, 4-star general.
That makes it worse because he.
The only person that's hired him is the president.
So are you okay with generals doing what General Milley did?
I think, and I hate to say this, and when you have a gentleman like Mr. Trump, I think you have to put up all the guardrails. You're speaking about somebody that just never had any type of office. He didn't know his first term of political etiquette or protocol. And it's possible he does go from 0 to 60.
You think Trump is capable, out of ego or simply out of anger, of starting a nuclear war?
Absolutely.
Really? You think he's that? You think he's that much off the handle, huh?
You just said it yourself to the last gentleman. He tries to fight every fight.
Yeah, but that's words. That's not exactly starting a war.
Why he doesn't care? He's going to be secure.
Hey, but how do you respond to the fact that Trump is one of the few presidents we can say in recent memory that under him we didn't have any new wars? It was actually quite peaceful during Trump's time.
Oh, man, you tell me because of Trump there wasn't no wars.
I'm telling you, during Trump there wasn't no wars. We can say it was Trump, we can say it was something else, but under Trump's watch,
Yeah, you're probably right because he was friends with all our enemies.
well, maybe there's a benefit to that. Keep your enemies close, your friends close, your enemies near.
This is the same guy who wouldn't listen to the FBI, the Secret Service, or nothing against Putin. So what do you think we're supposed to do?
I'm okay with Dick Cheney. I think used to say trust but verify. I'm okay with verifying, but if he's the president of the United States and he is at the top of the food chain, I don't believe that you should be legally able to. I mean, I think the rules say you can't just step outside of the food chain and do your own thing. I mean, what General Milley did, I believe he could be court-martialed for that. You don't think so?
No, I believe he could be.
Okay.
And that's what makes me believe him, the fact that he would take that chance. So obviously there's some things that maybe went on that he couldn't put in a book, but he was willing to risk his career.
Yeah, he was willing to risk his career to save humanity. I get that. But maybe he thought that Trump was a greater threat than Trump actually was, which means that Milley was wrong. I mean, yeah, you were trying to do the right thing, but you did the wrong thing in judging Trump to be this huge threat to humanity, which Trump was not.
Well, you got to realize, too, during Trump's first term, there were a lot of people there who thought he was for one thing and he turned out to be another.
Yeah.
And he would fire them. So there were a lot of people there to pump the brakes. Not this time.
Well, yeah, this time could be slightly different, but you don't think. But you said you think Trump, out of anger, might start a nuclear war.
I think yes. Is he capable?
Wow.
I'm going to put it like this: is he capable of it? Absolutely.
Damn.
Absolutely.
I really hope you're wrong, man. I really hope you're
I do
wrong.
too.
Goodness.
I do too. I'm not saying this trying to be right. I'm just saying it because this is what I believe, but I hope I'm wrong.
All right.
Look at the profile of the man. The man is a known bully. And yeah, if you try to mess with him, how you gonna tell another country this is what I'm shipping people to you?
Well, the people came from those countries, though. If your country.
No, ain't nobody come from the Bahamas. No. No.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know how that's gonna work. Yeah, you're talking about the Bahamas, Grenada, what is it, Panama, and Turks and Caicos. Those are the four countries. He said
Man,
if the countries that the immigrants come from won't accept them back, those are the four countries that they've designated to just send people to: Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Panama, and Grenada. And Panama's on record. So is Grenada. Oh no, Bahamas is on record. Like, we ain't down with that. You can't just sit motherfuckers
No.
here. It's an island.
Hey, how's it going? We got 500,000 people coming your way.
If you've ever been to the Bahamas, you'll know that's not a big island. I mean,
No,
that's
it's-
not a big place to send a bunch of immigrants to. I don't know what he's
No,
doing
it's
with
not.
that one.
And you know, I read somewhere this is where I don't think the immigration is going to work. Where it's going to cost $88 billion to send 1 million people out.
Wow. Well, as Trump's borders are said, though, because you know they believe these people are here to, they're invaders, they're poisoning the blood. He asked the question, like, what price won't you pay for safety? Yeah, it'll cost a lot, but if you're trying to protect the country from a bunch of invaders, hey, no, money is just an object.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
All right.
I don't think it's going to happen the way they think it's going to happen. Now, I do agree with them. If you have some immigrants here that have mental illness or they're known for violence, yeah, okay. But you got a lot of people here who are hard-working immigrants.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our system
But do
is
you
so
realize
slow,
there are actually liberal mayors that are even pushing back on I'm about to say evacuating, but deporting violent immigrants as well. They're like the mayor of Chicago or the governor of Illinois. They're actually pushing back. Mayor of San Diego, I think, is another one. They're even pushing back on deporting violent immigrants. Liberals doing
Well,
that.
I disagree with that totally.
Yeah. So
I'm
do
in
I.
Ohio. I'm an hour and a half from Springfield. And you got those immigrants there. But if you talk to people from Springfield, they would tell you, those immigrants came, all those abandoned houses and this and that. They bought them, they fixed them up, and they raised that whole community up. So it isn't as bad as everybody thinks. And I'm not trolling. This is what I know being an hour and a half away. So there are some immigrants you don't need to touch, but there are some, of course. There are always going to be bad ones. And
Yeah.
those are the ones you need to seek out.
All right. Well, Springfield, Ohio should be pretty quiet. I hear there's no animals there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to move it up. I hear there's no pets, no dogs barking, no cats meowing or anything for some reason.
One more thing. You
Sure.
mentioned Ukraine.
Yeah.
Were you aware that Korea sent troops over to Russia?
Yeah,
to help with
and
the
some of
war?
them been killed already. I think like 5 or 10% of them are already dead.
So in saying that, do you think it's okay for Biden to give him permission with the long range missiles?
I think Biden knew his successor, being President Trump, wants to end that war, and I think what Biden is doing makes it harder for Trump to end that war. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Look here, you know damn well you want to go in that war in 24 hours. Get out of here
The
with
man
that.
said he can do it. The man said he can do it.
Oh, man. What do you think? Shit's gold bricks? Come on now.
You know, in my church I grew up in, they used to say there ain't no secret what God can do. There ain't no secret what Trump can do. He said he could do it. He said he could do it.
You know what? You have me so confused. I don't know. I don't know if you with the guy or you have me so you play the fence real well.
I see good and bad in Trump. I see good and bad in the liberals, good and bad in the conservatives. I come on with all of it. I'll talk to you later. I got to move it on, Love the Cruise.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And I will say that that's kind of how the show got started. During the worst of the Biden economy, when I started doing lives, I was real critical on Biden, real critical on the liberals, and my audience ballooned, and it was predominantly MAGA at that time. As the economy began to improve and get a little bit better and gas prices started coming down, I get credit where I see it. When I saw the Biden economy doing horrible, I was chastising them daily. When it started getting better, I didn't continue sticking on it when it was at its worst. I was going with it currently. And I started losing MAGA and picking up more liberals. And if Trump gets in there and he starts living up to some of the promises he's made that's going to make America great, chances are you're going to see at least me being very favorable to Trump if he does that. If he gets in there and he turns it into just a chaotic war zone in Washington, then I'm going to criticize him. I can see good and bad on both sides. If he brings us back $2 gas and all this other shit he's promising, hey, I'm not one that would go against the man if he cures cancer. If he cures cancer, I'm going to be calling him a great guy. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of how we started out. Looking in the comments, though, thank you for the confetti there, collaborator. Appreciate that. Going back to the box, we'll continue on with Michael. Good evening, Mike. So, and like I said, because I can see both sides of an issue, it does put me in an odd situation because folks who favor the candidate where I'm seeing the other side of, they don't, you're always bashing Trump or you're always supporting Trump. I get all of that. Mike, good evening.
What's going on, man?
Not much at all. Trolling President Trump. Is that what Biden up to? Why is Biden apparently trying to sabotage the goals of Trump for his second term?
Well, first of all, I mean, I don't like the term trolling either because I just don't think it fits what he's doing. I do believe like selling the wall stuff. I think that's petty, but I don't think it's above the pale based on how Trump has treated this man for the last.
So he's on some revenge type shit. So he's on some revenge type
Well,
shit.
talking about with the wall, just the wall thing,
Okay.
right? But when it comes to Ukraine, I think Biden is trying to preserve Ukraine, right? Make it tougher for Russia to defeat them based on Trump stating he wants. He essentially is saying he wants Russia to win, right? He wants to make a deal where Ukraine gives us something they shouldn't be giving up, but he's okay with that. So I believe Biden is trying to fortify Ukraine's position before he leaves office. That's what
I can kind of agree with that. And before we continue talking, I just want to point out a comment. Laura Lee on YouTube says, I'm too white to be deported. Yikes. But Jesus Christ. Now, I do agree that the Ukraine is different from selling a wall. I do believe that Most NATO member nations want the Ukrainians to be able to fight back. They want the Russians to be stopped. So most NATO member nations, particularly the ones that are in Europe that are near Russia, yeah, they favor what Biden is doing.
Right. Well, and here's the thing, and here's where I push back on you.
Okay.
You tend to try to give Trump more credit than he deserves as a person.
That ain't what MAGA says. They say I got Trump
I don't
derangement
give a shit.
syndrome.
Listen, I don't care what they say because listen, you told me earlier last week or late last week, it doesn't matter what Trump does, they're going to ride with him, right?
Fact.
It doesn't matter.
Wait. It's MAGA will, not Trump supporters. There's a lot of people who supported Trump that are true principled Republicans. MAGA is riding with Trump no matter what, though.
Even the true principled Republicans, I will question that, but I'll table that for another time. But MAGA, so there's nothing that Biden could. When you talk about Biden could be potentially ruining his legacy, you mentioned that, right?
Right.
It doesn't matter because MAGA doesn't see any value in Biden regardless. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter what he does because whatever Trump says that it is, that's what it is to them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you got a lot more voters, Mike, than just MAGA. You got independents, you got traditional Republicans, you got liberals. His legacy is out there for them people too. And there's a lot of liberal. I heard Charlamagne the God on the Breakfast Club last week say that Biden's legacy is trash. He's obviously not MAGA. So, I mean,
and that's a short-sighted way to look at it because here's the thing. Here's how I look at it. If you go based on what Trump is telling us and his cabinet and the people he's put in place are telling us they're going to do, I would be disappointed in Biden for doing nothing, understanding that that's what they intend to do. Intent matters, Tim. Whether you do it or not, intent matters, right? And we don't talk about that enough. If that is you can go to jail for intent. You understand what I'm telling you?
That's a good point.
If his intentions are to do these things, it is Biden's responsibility to prevent these things to the best of his ability as the president of the United States. It just is. Yeah. I would be disappointed if he didn't pardon these people that Trump's saying he's going after. See, Trump set the stage for this stuff. Trump set the stage for all these things we're talking about. Yeah. We've never had these discussions in the history. What other president can you recall in your lifetime
None.
that
had an enemies list? Right? That had an enemies list? None.
Or okay, add an enemies list. Start with that. Has buddied up to our adversaries the way Trump has? None. Right? I mean, there's a list of things that Trump has done that we've never seen in the history of this country.
Yeah, right? But he also, in addition to him doing things we've never seen in the history of this country, he's going to say also, I gave you an unemployment rate or an economy that's better than anybody. I mean, he says he's done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln. He says he's done positive things that are historic as well.
But that's what he's going to say. But let's talk about the reality that he says that all the time.
Yeah.
The entire time he's been on the campaign, he went from 10 million illegal immigrants to 15 to 13 to 20. Right. So, but we know he bloviates, right? That's what he does. But my point is, if you set that aside, you have to really think about what he's saying. And if you're in Biden's position, what do you do? Do you just go, I know that's what he's saying. He's not going to be able to do all that. Do you?
No.
Do you believe that, or do you try to protect? Do you try to protect the country?
That's something I get from my MAGA viewers all the time. Me personally, and I've said this a million times, I don't see a damn thing wrong with taking a president and holding them accountable for their words. So MAGA can see a lot of things that Trump's, he only said that because of this, or he's just playing. If you say something while in that position, in my opinion, you can't blame somebody for taking you, like when he's talking about giving police immunity. Well, he's not going to do that. He's just, then why say it? So, no, if he's saying 100%. If he's saying it, I say you can hold him accountable for it.
100. Well, and here's the thing. I'll say it this way. And I would hold anybody accountable to what they're telling me they're trying to do or they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? If I told you I was going to do something to you when I saw you face to face, and you just decided that, he's not going to do that. Well, shame on you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, it just is what it is. So we have to think about those things that you're talking about. I mean, when you were talking about General Milley, yeah, he's probably facing court-martial, but you got to put all the pieces together. You got to put all the pieces together. There were so many people on Trump's administration that today say he's unfit.
Yeah.
You have former generals. You have so many military say he's unfit. So what I got from Milley, yeah, he's probably facing a court martial, but he was willing to do that for the sake of what he believed in, because of base what he swore to protect.
Mm.
And again, we haven't seen it before. So he's one person that's saying, I'm willing to risk my career to try to protect. Whether it didn't happen doesn't mean there was an intent. That's my whole point, Tim. They're hearing things that we may, and I'm not saying he was right. I'm saying that his decision was based on, it had to be based on, he's been doing this for how long now? He's been in that position for how long?
Doing General Milley? Who knows?
Yes. Right? So for him to hear what he's hearing, he's saying, damn it, listen, it is what it is. I can't sit idle. And not do something. I'm not even saying what he did was right. I'm saying that we have to take into account all the things that Trump has said.
Here's my difference or my take on it though. If he felt that way, he should have told his subordinates maybe, if this guy gives you a wild ass order, contact me first, and left it at that.
We don't know that it happened.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. In fact, I think somebody indicated it did happen. But contact me first, and then that's when he should pick up the phone and call the Chinese. Because
and maybe that's what happened.
Well, he stated himself he contacted the Chinese. That's where the magic bullet for Trump is right there. Is that you got him saying he contacted them. He didn't have a right to do that.
And I'm not going to defend that decision from the protocol that is part of the military. I'm not. But at the same time, in the situation that he was in, based on his now here's where I always talk about credibility, character, integrity, and ethics come into play. The history of somebody, who they are, who they've shown you to be, does come into play. It does come into play. We're not talking about intent to.
Yeah, but he ain't shown you that he's going to start a. He hasn't shown you. His history hasn't shown you that he's likely to start a nuclear war, has it?
Didn't he just tell Iran not too long ago to stop doing whatever, or we'll blow you to smithereens? Didn't he say that? Those are his words. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim.
He said something like that, yeah.
Okay, he did say something like that. So that came from the president of the United States. The leader of the free world made a public statement about blowing another country to smithereens, Tim. Yeah. Why are we... Right. That is not something that should be coming from that office.
I think he said that about North Korea. I think he said that about North Korea when he was president too. Said he would blow them off the map.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Little Rocket Man and all that shit. You remember all that?
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. Yeah.
He said a lot of crazy shit, and people ignore it. Like, oh, well, that's just Trump being Trump. He's the president of the United States. He's not the president of the YMCA. We got to stop acting like that office is supposed to uphold a certain level of integrity, Tim. Damn. I mean, shit.
I hear you.
We can't accept that.
Yeah, and I see somebody said, and I see in the comments, though, Lotus Flower said once he made those threats to North Korea, Kim Jong-un did stop doing what he was doing, which I get it, but that means he took him seriously, though.
That's a lie.
Right? He stopped for about 6 months.
Stop.
He stopped for about 6 months.
But, okay, did he continue?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, that's my point. Because you know what? He did it under Obama, and they hit him with sanctions, and he stopped, and he started again. It happened under Trump. Clinton. It's not. Listen, this is behavior, but let's not act like Trump is doing something that is so superior to other leaders. The problem is, people believe that, and they think he's doing something, and he's not making us safer.
Well, the thing about it is, under Trump, there were no serious military conflicts going on. So whether he had anything to do with it or not, it happened under his watch. So people are going to say, well, under Trump, we didn't have all these wars breaking out.
I know, and that's a false narrative, because a new war didn't break out. We still have conflicts.
Yeah, they were
always conflicts.
Compared to what we're dealing with now, they were exceptionally minor.
But again, what are you talking about? Israel? First of all, they've been fighting each other for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but October 7th is that's an event that will be remembered for decades. I mean, yeah, they've always been at odds in the Middle East, but what happened on October 7th is very similar to September 11th or December 7th, 1941. That was considerably of a considerable escalation compared to what they've normally been dealing with.
That's where we have to step outside of our feelings and emotions. That could have happened under anybody, and to lay it at Trump, just like 9/11. It happened.
Yeah, but you it sounds like you're
9/11
making excuses though. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
What'd
so
you say?
I said it sounds like you making excuses though. I mean, under Trump,
not.
under Trump globally, at least in terms of our allies and our concerns, things were quite peaceful. Under Biden, it's been turbulent.
Again, you ask people across the country who has it been peaceful. I mean, not the U.S., other countries. Russia and Ukraine, that didn't just start.
It wasn't happening under. I get it. Georgia and Crimea, Georgia in 2008, Crimea under Obama in 2014. But under Trump, there was no new breakouts of any conflicts though like that. Denkow, appreciate it. Thank you, Denkow.
Okay, listen. Even if you say that, what does that ultimately mean? What does that mean?
It means people want to go back to that peaceful period.
Did that happen because of him, or I mean, what are we talking about? And that's my thing. There's a narrative that's saying because it happened then that somehow he did something that created that and or prevented that, and that's just not true.
Well, you just admitted he threatened You just admitted he threatened the shit out of some people.
And what did it do, Tim?
We didn't have conflicts under him. Is that
that didn't mean because he said it didn't happen.
All we know is the man threatened to kick ass, and no ass needed to be kicked. Regardless of what happened or how, we know those two things happened. The man threatened to kick ass, and as a result, we don't see where any ass needed to be kicked.
No. But no, that's where you're wrong. You say as a result. That does not mean that was the result of what he said, Tim. Now, if that's your narrative, hold on. Matter of fact, I'll give you another example. So if that's the case, January 6th is his. That shit happened. That is on his watch. That shit happened.
I'm not arguing there. I'm not arguing with you there.
I know, but and again, now I will say that he has to own January 6th because he was lying. But so maybe that's not a as good of an example unless people don't believe it was real. But what I'm saying to you is, if you're trying to create a narrative, and this on both sides, you can create a narrative or you can create something to fit your narrative all the time, and people do that. That's the problem.
Whoa, Andy. Thank you. I just say this to you, Mike. I don't know. I'm not going to say Trump is some Superman or he is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm just simply saying the optics is under Trump, things were more peacefully globally. Maybe he had nothing to do with it, as you're trying to allude to. Fair enough. But under Trump, America's perception is globally there were no major conflicts going on. I don't know, maybe God did it, who knows? But under that president, people were not seeing what they're seeing now, and they want to go back to that time.
Again, I told you this before, and I'm going to say it again. They're using that for this other narrative and this other agenda, right? That's what we're seeing, and it's all laid out. That's just, listen, you're going to say whatever you need to do to get in the house.
People believe it.
You're gonna say whatever.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this. Even if the same situation was happening under Biden, and Biden had nothing to do with it, but the last Republican president was operating under turbulence, the liberals will say the same thing. Under us, there's no new war. People are going to take advantage of something that's right there to take advantage of.
And they would. And listen, I call balls and strikes, and they would be wrong, right? They would be wrong because. People are this is like a boxing match. People are in their corners in America, right? People are in their corners and nobody's listening. At the end of the day, this is factual. Trump's integrity and character as a president, we've never seen anything like this in the history of this country. Not to this level, Tim. Right. Not to this level. And listen, this may not be what people want to hear, but it's factual. And you got to get out of your own way and ask yourself why. And if you look at Project 2025, it explains everything. It's like an encyclopedia for all the bullshit we're watching. If you don't understand what you're seeing, go read the document. It's not, nobody creates a 900-page document for nothing, Tim.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that?
Yeah. Well,
It makes no sense. And I'm going to tell you this. You were talking about these children. I'm going to lay on this as much as I can every time I get a chance to speak. If we truly care about the children, all children in this country, we would not be having these conversations about their safety. Bottom line. I don't care Republican, Democrat, because listen, the Democrats haven't always done the things they need to do, should be doing when they've had the opportunity to do it. You understand what I'm telling you? And neither are the Republicans. But I'm honestly, to be honest with you, there are not MAGA, the Republicans you were talking about. This is why I don't give them credit, because they don't push back enough on the way their party has been reshaped by MAGA.
Well, they think they're winning, though. I got to move on, but they're winning. They like the direction Trump's delivering for this country. They're not pushing back because they're winning. I got to go, though. I got to move it on.
Let me say this. Let me
real
say
quick.
This, and I'm going to let you go. So then they are exactly what you're saying they're not. They may not wear MAGA on their chest, but if they feel that they're winning and they like it, they are exactly who the fuck we say they are. You got three options. You're a MAGA. You're a sympathizer of that bullshit, or you're not in tune or educated enough on the issues. That's it, Tim.
All right. I don't disagree with that last part. I got to go, though. You're all right. You make a good point. Then, yeah, kind of like the late coach that said, the Bears are who we crowned them to be. I guess you're right. I guess you're right.
We thought they were.
Yeah. Thanks for coming through, man. Who was that? What coach was that? Green or whatever his name was? They're who we thought they were. The Bears. Anyway, let me go back to the comment section. By the way, tap the screen, get me on up to about 30,000. Can I get that small number here? 30,000. Tap the screen, smash that like button on YouTube. You know how we run the program. GNC Project 2025, defunct and never Trump. Hun. Lotus, I don't quite get what you're saying. If you're for Harris, you're not about supporting America. Well, nobody's for Harris anymore. She's gone. And I vehemently disagree with that. Your argument is if you're for Kamala Harris, you're not about supporting America. There's things that Trump favors that are beneficial to America. There's things that Harris supports that might be beneficial to America. I don't think voting liberal or voting conservative means you don't support America. That language shouldn't be in there. In some cases, it's just it's policy differences we may have. It ain't got nothing to do with supporting America. I mean, there are things that the Republican Party do that might not always be favorable to America. There's some things the liberals do. If you support Harris, you're not for supporting America. Wow, that's way too strong. She's for other countries, says Budsfield. You think that us supporting Israel the way we've been? I mean, Trump is for other countries too. I mean, Trump is going to continue to support Israel and continue to arm Israel, continue to fund Israel. Does that mean he's for other? I mean, you're going to have every president that's going to support other countries in some form, fashion, or another. It just may be countries you like versus ones you don't. So you say Harris or Biden is for other countries. You think Trump ain't going to do that? You think there's not going to be some countries that Trump's going to favor as well? Somebody says, Lotus, you're brainwashed. I bet you want another stimulus check or a Bible or some sneakers. Jen, Jesus Christ. I have sympathizers for other countries, but America first. We'll see. I got a whole lot I can say about America first. We'll continue on. Let me go back to the box. I wanted to bring up Andy. Well, she dropped. I'll go to Dencal. Good evening, Dencal. Welcome to the program. Biden administration has been a big fleece. In what way, fashion, or form? State your case. Dencal, good evening.
Hey, what's happening?
Not much. Maybe you could help me out. You're military or former, or you're a vet, long-term veteran yourself. Now, a question. What General Milley did am I wrong in saying what he did? He could genuinely be court-martialed for.
I think. I mean, when you say court-martial, I mean, do you mean like
He could get in
actually,
trouble. He
it,
could be reinstated into the military and disciplined for his actions.
I I I doubt it. I'm never gonna say anything is 100% guaranteed, but I doubt it because you got to understand, like the people, like his peers and the people who would have to conduct this thing
Oh, so they
are
could
literally
resist.
people who agree with him or understood his rationale. So yeah, I mean, you could do it, but you got to realize that these ain't gonna be Trump's people doing a military tribunal or
Right.
some shit. It's
So let
not
me
gonna be.
so let me ask you this: if Pete Hegseth, that's who Trump is trying to put over the military, right? Hegseth.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's the guy he's
yeah,
giving.
I think so. Yeah,
If he gives that guy cannot order this to be done.
he can order them to go through the process, but he can't tell them what to say.
Okay.
He can't tell. They would go. He would have his lawyers, and then the military would have their lawyers, and these are literally people who used to work for him.
Yeah. So in other words, he could order to be done, but at the end of the day, they may go the other way. In other words, find that he didn't do anything wrong, or pretty much
Right,
let.
and it'll all be private, and nobody will know because that's not how court martials go. It's not like a regular court where everybody
Oh.
gets to see the evidence and all that stuff. It'll be in secret, and the government and the military would just say what he did was justified.
Okay. But the thing is, how can it be? Okay, if he is fearful that Trump might start some kind of atomic outbreak, and can he really reach out? I mean, can he really reach out to his counterpart and promise them that I'm not going to follow any rogue orders from Trump? I mean,
I can't say. Look, we looking at it from the outside in, and we think everything is cut and dry. He just one day just said, "I can't stand Trump. I'm gonna call my counterpart." I'm sure there were many conversations he had with other top generals and admirals and people around, and he probably explained to them what his concerns were. We don't know if he had former conversations with his counterparts, or we don't know if there were back channels that said that they were getting nervous about some military strike because they already have admitted that Trump was having conversations with his Joint Chiefs prior to leaving, trying to get them to do things that were going to be detrimental to the country. Just like he tried to tell them, well, since I lost, I want to go ahead and pull out of Afghanistan before I leave because I want to get credit for it.
right.
And they were the ones who told him no. So if they know he's been making a bunch of decisions that are unstable, that could be globally unstable, I'm sure that Milley and all the other military people were probably happy as hell that he contacted them, because if they were having some back channel chatter, which we always know in the military, if they know that there's something going on, yes, pick up the damn phone and tell them we not about to do that. Y'all didn't do nothing.
I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked my last caller. Do you see Trump as capable of letting his ego get us into a nuclear war?
Yes, we seen him antagonize people all the time. My button is bigger than your button. Like we
Yeah,
just
he
we
did
at
say
the
that.
time we didn't really know whether Kim Jong-un was suicidal or homicidal. We didn't know. We kind of know now that him and Putin and all of them, they talk a big game and they call them, these unalivers and all of this crazy stuff. But no, they all want to. Kim Jong-un want to enjoy his Hennessy. They say he love him some good Hennessy, and he like good champagne and cigars. He likes having his little harem of young women. Putin loves the power to be able to control all of these oligarchs. They want to live to see, their dreams come true. None of them are psychotic.
Right. So once again, it kind of boils down. So once again, when you say Trump antagonist, once again, it boils down to his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he's put us in all kinds of situations where we think of it as just hyperbole and that's just Trump being Trump. But like when he was doing them things, and I will have to correct you, Tim, it was not 6 months of no shooting off missiles. It was literally like the next month He started practicing doing them drills, and instead of Trump chastising him, what Trump said was, well,
they're intermediate.
Right. He said, well, he's right because he's pissed off because we keep having these drills with South Korea, and he doesn't like them, and I don't really like them myself because I don't like to pay for those drills. Like, we do drills all around the world.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, I just read the story when you said that because I wanted to go back because I remember me and my buddy was talking about it, and like right after he left, which his whole point in going there, his only point in going there was to denuclearize North Korea. Yeah. That was his main goal.
Well, no, I
don't. He was brave enough to go over there.
Yeah.
He did nothing. He did nothing but have this love affair
with Kim Jong-un,
with a foreign dictator that we got nothing out of it. I said we had him isolated. But when Trump put him on the main stage with the most powerful man in the world, that gave him clout that he never needed to have. Now other countries are dealing with him, Iran and Russia and China. We gave him that platform that he did not have until he stood.
Well, you get no arguments from me in regards to the part where nothing came out of it. I'm under the impression that Kim Jong-un did stop firing rockets for a longer period of time than 1 month. I'd have to look it up. But one thing I do agree on is that nothing came out of it. I mean, Trump didn't get any kind of treaties. He didn't get nothing signed. And of course, Kim Jong-un and our relationship with North Korea is right back where it was because Trump never secured any deal. So meeting with Kim Jong-un at best got some kind of temporary band-aid, as you're pointing out, that was very short-lived. Even if you're right and I'm wrong, we're only talking about a difference of about 5 months. That ain't shit in the grand scheme of things. I'm saying about 6 months. You're saying about 1 month, but that's nothing. Right. Fact is, he didn't get nothing accomplished. There's no, Trump holds up the things he gets signed, and he's always holding up new bills. He didn't have anything to hold up. Same thing at a meeting with.
He does have something to hold up. His love letters with Kim Jong-un.
And we don't even know what's on those. We don't even know what that is. Shit. We don't know what means. And the same thing when he met with Putin. Yeah, the same thing is when he met with Kim Jong-un and when he met with Putin. He fought to have any public knowledge of what was said at either one. We don't know what was said at either one of those meetings.
Right. And knowing us like we do, what would he have that would be so secretive that he didn't want? Like, that's going against the whole country because he's supposed to be he's supposed to be the representative of the American people, not of his own interests. There's nothing that Russia could do for us or anything we need from them for it to be private.
Oh, but like I said, they didn't start no new conflict, so he told them something. Who knows? But hold on. Ed G points, he said, and Biden gave Iran money, which was given to Hamas. So we're talking about Trump, but he's saying that, now we know the Iran deal was broken in. Now, I don't know, Biden gave money to Iran? When did that happen? I know the deal.
No, he getting Obama and mixed up.
And Obama didn't give him money either. Obama unfroze their own assets. Obama didn't give them money.
Nothing. We didn't give them anything from our taxpayers or nothing.
Right.
He literally got a deal done for them to halt their nuclear program. Now that's somebody you should be giving credit to because he actually struck a deal, gave them back their own money, and had them actually have inspectors on the ground making sure that they got rid of all of their nuclear material down to a certain level. That was an actual deal that got done that Trump actually canceled. And
Trump,
now they're on the doorstep
that.
of having one, which they probably already have by now.
I don't know. The way Israel's kicking their ass, if they had a nuclear bomb, they might use it. I mean, Israel's really...
You got to think about how small Israel is. It's about the size of the state of Maine. So you can't drop you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're going to be messing with people in Lebanon.
Jordan. Yeah, I get it. In Jordan and all that. But the thing about it is, I mean, it's Israel. Yeah, Israel. Israel don't turn into the Middle East Terminator. I mean, how many countries are they bombing? Yemen, Lebanon, Syria. Now they're in Syria now. Iran. They don't hit. I mean, they don't hit like
All,
5 or 6 countries. Like,
yep.
I said,
All because of us. All because of Big Brother.
what do you mean?
The reason why they don't really retaliate is because of America.
Yeah.
When we sent all of those aircraft carriers and that whole battle group over there, that was letting that, and they literally said the reason why we sending all of these people over here is to
Back
fight
Israel.
back
It's a back Israel.
anybody's intentions of jumping in this fight. So yeah, the only reason why they accomplishing it, and that's why I just don't like how Biden handled that and not told them. See what I don't really necessarily like how Trump does like foreign business and stuff, but sometimes even if that's America's policy to support them, sometimes you gotta say, "Yo, you going too far. You going too far."
But here's the issue with Biden, I think, in regards to all of this. Like I always say, how it's easier to be a Republican politician than a liberal politician because everybody on the liberal side get a seat at the table, whereas the Republican Party, for the most part, they cater their policies to straight white males, when the liberals are listed in the feminists and Muslims and folks who are favorable to Hamas, for instance. That's where Biden's problem was, is that I do believe he felt Israel was going too far. But he couldn't be.
He said it.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did say it. But he can't be too critical of Israel because then you'll start losing a lot of liberals that support Israel. But then if you start letting Israel run free, you're going to start losing people that support the Palestinians. See, Trump doesn't give a damn about the Palestinians. So his job is easier. He's only listening to one side. Whereas Biden is trying to appease all these people at the same time, and that's his problem.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes, that is part of the problem with having a big tent party is you want everybody to be able to come to the table to put input, but then you find yourself fighting against some of the interests that you let sit at the table because it's all over the place. Where one side is saying, "Look, like you said, if you're a part of our group, that's all we really care about." Like now they got it to the point where even the minorities and people from the left are moving over to their side because it's easier. All you got to do is worship Trump and you win it.
Hey.
Just like you say, he's winning. They think like they winning too, but they rent still is going to be the same amount.
But they feel like they're not going to get overrun with immigrants. Their kids are not going to be overrun with transgender. They feel like they're winning in other ways.
Hey, man, look. We kind of found out a lot about our voting public and like how they view things, because I know from the beginning what we used to like to see from a president as far as the economy and stuff was we like to see a trend. We like to see a trend like upwards, in an upwards trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we were getting. Because remember, that's what got Obama his second term. Because do you think
Biden did a good job though?
No, I'm saying the economy was trending better.
Yeah.
After we was at 9%, interest and the interest rates and inflation. But if you look at any metric without thinking about who's the president, you're going to see this consistent.
Democrats.
This consistent things are getting better. Like wages are up. Just like Trump is promising people that like eggs and stuff are going to go down. They're never going to go down. The only way you're going to get this economy, you're going to make people feel better is to increase wages. But they want to fight all of
that ain't going to happen under Trump. Trump is going to brag about creating jobs. You're not going to hear Trump bragging about how wages went up under his watch. He didn't brag about that the first time. People always brag about, well, I created so many. Hey, but how much are those jobs paying? You never hear them talking. Well, sometimes the liberals do, but you're not going to hear Trump talking about wages went up. I don't think that's going to happen at all.
And that's the only way we're going to recover. And I've seen many economists and I've watched and the only way we're going to get better is if we grow our way out of it. We can't just think that there's some, there's some magic thing that somebody can say, and then people who produce products are gonna be like, yeah, I think I'll just start selling my product for less now.
That ain't.
It's not gonna happen.
No.
But a lot of those people, what did they say? The reason why they voted for Trump was because of the economy.
True.
Was because it was better. Things were better prices were lower. So if you say that, and you know that the prices are not going to be lower just because they was lower back then, what is the point?
Point is getting elected. It's point is saying whatever it takes to. I mean, look, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I do feel confident that some of the things Trump said are probably not gonna happen, and they were being said just to get back in office. Like I can't stop bringing up the whole police immunity thing. I do believe he had no intentions of doing that, but he said it because it appeased to a certain segment of his audience that want to see police in liberal cities allowed to run free. I mean, didn't he say something like the police should be able to be given a violent hour where they can, be violent? I mean, there's a segment of his population that want to see criminals in liberal cities, and we know who they are, face a violent police force to tune them up. I mean, he says this stuff because it appeals to some people, and fortunately for Trump, it did work, and he is now our president. I got to move on, though, Den Cal. That's what happens.
Right. Just one quick thing. The last thing is about the immigration stuff and this Tom Homan and stuff, and them coming out with the rhetoric saying that Chicago is going to be ground zero for this immigration deportation.
He did
stuff.
say that.
They just are drumming up this more and more of this anger.
Yeah.
That people just are not, they're not seeing, and it's just kind of weird to me. But I've been good. The stock market. I probably made about another 10 grand a day on the stock market.
Wow.
Everything. My crypto, my Bitcoin is going crazy, and all that stuff is cool.
Are you saying thanks, Trump?
No, I'm saying all good things come to an end.
But he's the reason why the stock market is doing much better now. You do think he's the reason, don't you?
No. Well, I mean, there's been a bump. There's been a bump up about 1,000, maybe 1,000 points since he won the election.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at the overall performance, like, we know that this is a bump because of a lot of people are getting into the stock market right now, and they're taking a lot of profits and stuff because they are uncertain of the future. So a lot of people are just jumping in, like me. I'm about to jump into this private prisons and stuff. I'm about to start investing. I hate to.
That's your own people. I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like the man from like the old man from New Jack City, but man, you're killing your own people, man.
Man, I'm not, look, why should they be the only ones to profit off of this stuff? Hey, Tesla's the backbone of my portfolio. What I'm supposed to do? Just sell it all because he's an evil scientist?
But I just am not a fan of any American that make money off of for incarceration. I don't believe it should be legal. I don't think it's morally right to make money off of incarceration. Nobody should profit from that.
Right, but if we have people in office that encourage this, what should we do? Like, if we're not in a collective way going to say, okay, let's all stop doing this, and then let these certain group of people just make all of the money off of it, then what are
You sound like the African American that was running for governor in North Carolina. Well, I wish they had slavery back so I could buy a few of them. That's what you.
Look, man, don't go there.
Hey, you basically are saying if other people are making money off of this bullshit, then I might as well too.
Look, I have principles about certain things, but when the other people on the other side have none, bro, I'm not gonna get left behind because I'm not gonna be broke in principle.
All right, then, Cal. Capitalism in America. Thanks.
When you get, we all agree, right?
Yeah, no shit. That's bad. I gotta go. That's bad.
Right.
Oh my God. Let me move it on. And that is what was it, North Carolina or South Carolina? I think that guy was he was in North Carolina because North Carolina now has a liberal governor. Black guy. Black guy was running for governor. Big Trump fan, by the way. Talking about he wished they could bring slavery back so he could buy a few of them. Running for governor. This ain't some crazy ass lunatic citizen. He was running for governor in that state, and he was the Republican nominee. I mean, this is who they put up to run for governor. He ain't some off the wall politician deep down in the weeds. This is who they chose to run for governor. The Republicans did in that state. Somebody wanted to bring back slavery. Let me go back to the Jesus. Russia and Iran have suffered greatly. That's what we wanted. Alter ego. I did see your comment also. You said by supporting these ongoing conflicts, we have stopped Iran and Russia from funding terrorist groups in other countries. But the problem is the Trump side of the aisle did not want us to have an unfavorable approach towards Russia. Trump, Tucker Carlson, and all these folks, what is her name? Tulsi Gabbard, they've been favorable to Russia. So while you're saying it's a good thing that we stop these groups, and it helped curtail the efforts coming from Iran and Russia, the Trump administration has been somewhat favorable to Russia. I think that's changing a little bit now, but Trump has not been really critical of Russia at all. Yeah, Iran, he's with you on Iran until the sunset, but Russia, he hasn't been very bad. He hasn't been hard on Russia at all. What is that? Says 45 endorsed them. Says, yeah, you saying 45 endorsed Putin? And you saying that Trump endorsed that governor, the gubernatorial candidate, that black guy in North Carolina. You said Trump still endorsed. Well, Trump went there to campaign, and he was not around that guy. He did not bring that guy to the rallies or anything. Once it came out, the guy was on internet said he was a black Nazi. I mean, he's like a second coming of Clayton Bigsby, where the guy don't realize he's black. So yeah, Trump disassociated himself from the guy once that stuff started coming out. Yeah, before that he endorsed him. Yeah, you're right. Before that he definitely, any Republican that endorses Trump is probably going to endorse that Republican too. It's beneficial for peace, for humanity. I don't care what Trump thinks. Well, you got to care what he thinks because he's the guy that's going to make it happen. Yay or nay is going to come from him. Alter ego, yeah. Appreciate the hat mustache. Thank you. I don't know what I just hit there, but I'll continue on the program. Russia has been supplying information on Ukrainian biolabs to the UN for over a year. Okay, they got bio. I don't understand the issue. We're going to attack the Ukrainians because they got biolabs, as if Russia and the United States does not. It's the Ukraine. This isn't Iran. The Ukrainians are not a nation known for committing acts of terror. Why can't they have biolabs, or why can't they have nukes? Or we got them. So I don't. That doesn't make any sense. Alter ego. Appreciate the graphic. Thank you very much, sir. I don't understand that. It's a difference between saying we don't want the Iranians to have nukes because there's state sponsors of terror. The Ukrainians ain't known for any of that. So okay, they got biolabs. So be it. So do we. I don't understand why that was such a big issue. Those Bears ain't doing so well. No, they're not. They're losing by 17 right now. 14 minutes to go. 20-3. But I got money on the Vikings. I defected like the black guy in North Korea. I ran across to the other side just to get me some money, just to get some paper. They was only, I'll go back to the box, but the Bears were only -7 on, not FanDuel, DraftKings. So I went ahead and dropped a few. I'm like, they're going to lose by more than 7 in this motherfucking game. So I put some money down on the Bears to lose. I know the Vikings is gonna beat them by more than 7 points, and it looks like I'm gonna definitely win. They're down by 17 now, and by the time this game is over, it'll probably be 20-something at least. Look in the comments. Remember Russian collusion and the P tapes and the N-word tapes. What happened to those? Well, we can't. If the P tapes exist, we can't force Vladimir Putin to release them. I mean, we could say the same thing about Hunter Biden's laptop or Hillary Clinton's emails. It never materialized. I mean, so maybe the Russian collusion thing was all made up. We don't know. It never materialized. Same thing, just like Trump was investigated for Russian collusion and nothing came out of it. Hillary Clinton was investigated also and nothing came out of it. Now Hunter Biden got a pardon, so we won't know what came out of that. But Hillary Clinton was accused of all kinds of crimes as well. Nothing came out of it. So that's how it works. Ukrainian biolabs made chemical weapons banned by the Geneva Convention, you idiot. Thanks for the compliment, Igor. You know, I got thick skin. He says I'm an idiot. Fair enough. But he said Ukrainian biolabs made chemical weapons banned by the Geneva Convention. My guess is whatever the Ukrainians have in terms of bioweapons, we got them here as well. We're kind of a nation of do as I say, not as I do, where we're telling other nations what they can and can't have when we have it. I bet you whatever we're claiming the Ukrainians should not have, we have it here. So, and I see in the comments, Denkel asked an excellent question. If they got all this shit, why are they not using it? That's an excellent question. Russia is completely threatening their sovereignty. If they got all of this shit over there, why ain't they used it on Russia yet? You got Vladimir Putin talking about using nukes on them. Why haven't they used it? My guess is it probably ain't there. Paul Manafort alone paid for the whole Russian collusion investigation. Maybe. I don't want to go too deep into that, but like I said, Hillary Clinton was investigated. I know Fox News was behind the laptop, and Rudolph Giuliani was behind the unbited laptop. People pay for shit. You got right now Elon Musk stating that if any Republican senator tries to vote against any of Trump's picks, like Pete Hegseth or Tulsi Gabbard, the ones that are unpopular, Elon Musk is talking about he's going to fund a primary against any Republican senator that does that. People spend their money to do shit to control politics. That's kind of how it works. Biden armed the IRS. Remember? What you telling me? The Internal Revenue Service, they weren't already armed? They already were armed. The IRS has always had police. They're not behind the laptop. Griff, I don't get what you're saying there. Let me go back to the box. I don't understand what you're saying about not being behind a laptop. Continuing on with Jeremy, one of my subscribers there. Jeremy, good evening. Welcome to the program. We're talking about the potential of Biden trying to. People didn't like the term troll, so let's say sabotage. Biden is doing all kinds of things that are hurting the promises of Trump. What Trump has promised to do once he's elected, Biden is doing things on the way out to make that harder. Do you think it's intentional? Jeremy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are
Okay,
you?
I'm doing good. I was asking a question. It appears as if Biden is trying to make some of the promises and goals of Trump harder on the way out. Do you think that's intentional?
I think it's intentional, but I don't think it's for those motivations. I think what's going on is that Biden just wants to make Trump's life just harder. It's kind of a petty thing, I think, more than anything else.
Why do you think Biden? Now, Biden, the old man with dementia that doesn't know where the hell he's at. Why would he be petty?
Well, because I think his handlers are petty. That's what I think is going on. I think that Jill is probably running the show a little bit, and I don't think and I would say Jill because I don't think Harris is running the show. I don't think she's competent enough to run the show. I remember when the W's were all taken out of all those keyboards when
I remember that. That's what the Al Gore thing. Yeah, that was during the Al Gore years.
Yeah, well, I think this is kind of like that, except with policy.
Well, I will say this.
Look at a lot of what they're doing. They're escalating a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I will say this. I wouldn't disagree that the Biden administration are doing things that make the transition for Trump a little bit more difficult. But I mean, I have to ask you, I guess, to some degree, because you say, maybe his handlers are steering him in a direction of being petty. How did Trump treat him when he came in?
He wasn't too happy. He wasn't, but I think that was more like. I wouldn't say petty. I would say that was more like he genuinely just didn't believe that the guy won.
I kind of wonder
That
about
was
that,
more. That was
Jeremy.
more like. That
Yeah,
was
I
more
hear you.
like yelling. Like if we compare it to like a baseball game, something like that. That's less like getting like a little bit of revenge than
Yeah, but I
putting a
disagree
whooping.
with
Like
you. I disagree with you to some degree. I don't personally, based on all of the stuff that Trump has said since he has been out, I don't believe he actually think he did win. I believe that he's sticking with it because it would make him look like shit to come out and admit, yeah, I knew I lost, but I was just saying it because I didn't want to leave. I mean, then obviously he might get blamed for January 6th a little bit stronger too, but I don't personally believe Trump thinks he won that election because at the end of the day, everybody that was around him, I'm talking about Republicans, I'm talking about people that would have actually stayed in power if he won. Everyone around him told him, sir, you lost. I don't think there's anybody on his administration, there's no Republican governors, no Republican senators. Everybody in Washington flat out told him, sir, you lost. Even the third party organizations he hired to check into it. So if he's saying he won, it almost makes him look delusional. Based on what?
Well, there was a lot of suspicion about just how many people came out and turned out to vote compared to other elections, especially for someone who was probably not really that encouraging of a candidate. I can at least see
Yeah,
Clinton
but
versus him
but is it a
versus.
situation where you can look into the election and you believe you won to the point where nobody can tell you anything else? Even if you have people look into it, I believe I won. I don't care what you come back with. I'm going to keep saying it. Is that where we're at?
There are some people who are just that hard of losers. I don't I don't appreciate that Trump just dropped the issue already. I don't appreciate that, despite it being more MAGA myself. I'm willing to hold his feet to the fire. But then I just think that Trump just as genuinely just didn't and think that he lost. And I think like if you compare it to like a baseball game when someone loses, what Trump is doing is more akin to someone to throwing down the bat and saying and cursing out as like the umpire versus what Biden's doing, which is like sneaking off to like pee in people's cups or something like that.
Oh my! Well, when you say Trump, what he is doing is commiserate to cussing out the umpire or whatever. No, to me, what Trump is doing is going off on the umpire, looking on the scoreboard, seeing that he's wrong on instant replay, and not even accepting that. Because he had plenty of people go in, people who were on his side, as I said, people who would have been reelected themselves, like Mike Pence and folks that would have stayed in power themselves and benefited. They even told him, "Sir, we lost." People that had no reason to lie because they had nothing to gain by lying to him. They even told him he lost and he wouldn't accept it.
Yeah, but some people are just that stubborn. Look, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you something. Okay, when I was a young kid, and when I was a lot younger, like in my early 20s, I'm pushing 30 now. But when I was in my early 20s, I was usually pretty reasonable on most things. But there were just some times where you just couldn't tell me none that
Right.
would convince me
I believe
otherwise, out
that.
of my opinion.
That's Trump
And,
is doing
I
that.
know Trump's like older, but like significantly older than me. But like, trust me, like there were just some times where I was just that headstrong and emotional. I mean,
But what's the difference between that and being delusional? If you won't accept the truth, no matter how it's presented to you, no matter who tell you, what's the difference between that and being delusional?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because you almost could call that a form of delusion.
Yeah.
You almost could call that a form of delusion. I don't know if I'd go that far. I think delusion takes on a much larger overall encompassing level of mental illness than just that. I think that you'd have to see a lot more of Trump just being delusional overall than just like one incident where he's just like, this is not how it is.
How about
No,
EDS?
no.
How about EDS, election derangement syndrome, where you just can't stop talking about the 2020 election?
There's a little bit of that, but that's
Okay.
more. But that still kind of goes back to the same thing. It goes back to like I won and he lost. That's how it is. Like that. It kind of goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Like But again, I think the line is very very thin, and ultimately, I don't think this is the right way to be doing and having what's going on. I know that was a weird sentence, but I don't think that Biden trying to escalate these conflicts is a good thing. And I do feel like it's an escalation, an intentional escalation.
Okay. Okay, I need your help on one here. I'm going to plead ignorance. You know, sometimes I see comments and I got to admit, I may not be savvy enough to interpret it. I'm going to give you a comment that just came in. You give me your take on it. And I think it's directed at me, but just for, I think the way it's written, I think it's directed at me, but I'll read it. You let me know. You give me your interpretation. And this comes from
Sure.
Mike Kenz, Kenz. He says, this black maggot doesn't know anything that Fox and a billionaire hasn't told him. You maggots have no ability to think besides what a billionaire tells you how to think. What is he getting at?
You know what? I think that is directed towards you because I'm not black,
Okay.
so that wouldn't really.
But
make
I'm not a
sense.
maggot. I don't eat dead people.
Yeah, you're not pro MAGA. You're the one, you know. So either he needs an eye color chart, or he thinks that the handsome liberal, it's in the name, is somehow is like a white guy, for Trump or whatever. I don't know, or a black guy for Trump, I guess.
Yeah, but he actually spelled, usually when people were referring to Trump supporters as maggots, MAGAT. This person actually spelled it right. So I'm thinking of a little creature that eats rotting flesh, like what? And I'm a black maggot. Like, what is that? I didn't know. So maybe you help me out because it took me a moment to figure it out.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe he thinks I'm black, or he only hears my voice.
Right.
I don't know. All I know is it definitely sounds a little racist.
Yeah, yeah, it kind of caught me that way too. Like, what the hell are you talking about? But I know. Okay, so maybe we both had a little bit of an issue with it. So,
Yeah.
so continuing on though, I was also talking about the fact that we had another school event today in Madison, Wisconsin. I know
Yeah,
it.
I'm from Wisconsin, so I knew about that. Yeah,
Really,
I heard about that.
have you heard the death toll? What is the death toll?
I know that there's at least one teacher that's dead. I know that.
I heard
and
it.
I know the shooter's dead.
Okay,
I think that there's like 7, something like that. 7.
deceased.
Do not quote me on that though. I could easily be wrong, but I do know that the teacher and the shooter, one teacher and the shooter.
He took out his teacher. Damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, the question I was asking in regards to this topic is, do we care? I mean, this happens all the time. We issue thoughts and prayers and we move on. Do we actually care about kids losing their lives at school?
I gotta admit, when I heard about it, I felt really sad, but I didn't feel as sad as I usually would about tragedies. And I guess in a way, there is a little bit of an apathy. There is a little bit of a loss of emotion because it's kind of common. Now, does that make it okay? Absolutely not. Emotions are illogical and irrational. If emotions were rational, we should all be crying every time this happens. We should be crying every time someone gets hit by a car, unjustly.
Yeah,
But I think in a way we have to kind of almost like repress some of these feelings because otherwise we can't get through our days.
but okay, I get that you need to remain stoic, but I'm asking, do we even get the appearance that we're concerned about it? I mean, like, do we do anything at all to try to prevent this from happening again?
I think we should, but I don't know if our society. I think the people, the average person on the street wants this to happen. I think the people in power, I think that they want to use it too much as an issue. As a former homeless person, I know what issues the government and the people in the government and care about and don't care about. Homelessness, they don't care about. They just want to use that as a talking point.
You wasn't homeless in Wisconsin, were you?
No, not in my home state.
Shit, I'm about to say, man, that's brutal. So,
Well, I was homeless in Washington State. It's not much better. It was
right,
cold.
no kidding, right? Wow. So then let me ask you, I've asked this earlier when I did the live earlier today. If you were put in a position where you were given the ability to submit to authorities or let's say to the governor or even the president, you had the ability to submit to them changes that you thought might make children not go through this in schools. What would you submit? What would you recommend so that our children in this nation, which seems to be uniquely American because kids aren't getting shot in other schools in other countries, but what would you suggest to make our children safer at school so that they're not worried about getting popped.
Well, there's a few of them. One of the things I want to do, and I don't know the exact policy that I would implement, but it would be a policy to make sure that people are actually socializing more. I know that sounds like a weird policy to have, but here's the thing. Look at every single one of these people and their profiles. Oftentimes, these are not people who were popular at school, who had any kind of social life. These are loners who probably they were a little bit off, and usually they came from really, really bad homes. I would want people to actually have I don't want to name the guy, but the one who did
The
what's
CEO.
this?
The
There's only
CEO.
one that was like mentally ill who was off his rocker, which was Sandy Hook.
Well,
But
but
I
I,
don't
well,
want
no, hold
to.
on. I agree and disagree. I do agree that most of these people who have done this are social butterflies and they're not very popular. Even the guy who took out the CEO of United Health was estranged from his family and kind of a loner when he did that. But the idea that they come from broken homes, and that part is not true. Many of these folks come from middle class or even wealthy background, including the guy who took out the United
What,
Healthcare CEO. They came from a wealthy family. They're not all
well,
coming from poor, broken homes.
not all of them, but look at the person whose parents were recently held accountable, who bought him a firearm. You remember that guy?
Yeah, in Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, remember how awful of a home he came from? And it wasn't just awful like financially, it was awful physically. Like, he came from an awful a home and he had
Yeah,
clear
but the Ubalde guy actually saved up his own money and bought his own AR and I think 1,000 rounds and several magazines. I mean, he was doing well enough to purchase his own firearms. I think most of these folks, they're middle class. I don't think most of them come from
it's
poverty.
not just it's not just about when I say bad homes, I'm not just talking about financial. I mean the actual home life
Okay,
is
you mean like
bad.
the
There are
like the
plenty of
family and
kids who come from places where I came from a good home, despite ending up homeless at one point in my life. I came from a good home, but it wasn't just financially good. My dad was a mechanical engineer. My mom was an accountant. But these were also good people who
Mhm.
didn't mistreat me. A lot of these kids come from very, very rough, bad backgrounds when it comes to how they're treated by their own family, and they have like bad social lives too. And look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When we don't have these needs met, we tend to turn inward and to isolate,
Okay.
and that's
Okay,
where a
so
lot of the
you so
crazy
you
stuff
so
will
you
come off.
mentioned having children socialize more, and for a lot of reasons, people will agree with that. But give me another one.
Another one would be we have to make these places hard targets. You see, well, notice how where are the places that get hit it's most in American society? It's oftentimes places that are soft targets. And a school is absolutely a soft target. At least in my high school, we had actual police officers that had full arrest powers, was there with firearms, was there, and no one ever pulled anything, and I don't see why anyone would, because they know that they would get shut up. But
Jeez.
in a lot of these places, they don't. The most they have is a security guard, like a private
So what do
security
you
guard who
want
doesn't
to
even have
you
police
want a school
powers.
to you want a school to look like a prison?
I don't know if it has to look like a prison. I think it can look pretty normal, but with some extra
It ain't
security.
gonna it ain't gonna look normal if you make it a hard target. You're gonna have fences around it, maybe barbed wire in some cases. You're gonna have metal detectors and bulletproof glass. You're gonna have cops or armed people. It ain't gonna look normal. That ain't normal how a school normally looks.
Well, I mean, listen to people like JD Delay. You know who that is? You know that TikToker?
No.
He's a former convict who talked about how, like, when he was a criminal, he wanted more gun control because as it made it more likely that you were going to see people, you're going to be able to break into people's houses and they wouldn't have a firearm to defend themselves. Criminals are genuinely afraid of people who have firearms. You don't need barbed wire. You don't need a lot of stuff. You just need people who are trained with firearms to walk to schools. And I think a lot of schools, especially in their city, probably already need police there anyway, just to control the kids that are there that aren't going to
And
shoot up
see,
the
that's
school.
what the problem is that if you put police in schools, as opposed to them defending against a mass casualty event, what's going to happen is children going to be getting arrested for a lot of other shit, maybe drugs, fighting. I mean, the police are going to have a heavy-handed approach, and more children are going to get arrested for other stuff than anything, because most schools will never have one of these events. That in terms of a school shooting, 99.9% of schools in America will never have that. This is something that rarely happens in terms of the sheer number of schools here. So
Are you saying we shouldn't arrest kids who are like trying to sell pills and like and crack and weed to like their friends at
no,
school? Like,
you
come on.
certainly want to do that, but coming out of high school already with your history, with your future ruined because you got a felony on your record. Some people would say, I mean, it's a six and a half dozen or the other type deal. I want bad people to be arrested, but I don't want to ruin children before their lives have even started because of something they did when they were 18. Because if you get a felony on your record when you're 17, 18 years of age, you can still be paying for that when you're 40. So you're literally trashing a person's whole life for something that they may have long repented from.
Yeah, I know, but like the thing is, I think there could be programs in order to like work some of this off. I think that's and judges have a lot of leeway, especially when it comes to sentencing, to how to what they charge, to what you're charged with. So do prosecutors, and I think that there are plenty of ways to give
Yeah, but
someone a
there's no
second
history of that
chance.
happening, though, Jeremy. I mean, you're right. Judges have always had a lot of leeway, and they've been getting tougher and tougher and tougher on the juvenile population. They haven't been getting easier. When back in the day, you get caught driving without a license or something, the police would tell you got to go home. You get caught drunk driving, they throw the keys in the grass. Nowadays, if you do something that is arrestable, the cops arrest you. They don't let you go with any damn thing anymore. Anything you do that could lead to an arrest, they generally will arrest you.
Yeah, but think about what about the other kids at that school who might be have like those kids as a bad influence. Like there's like been plenty of studies that show that in most social situations, especially amongst young people, they refer to the bottom denominator when it comes to that person's behavior. So the worst behavior that is allowed in any school is oftentimes what everyone defaults to, like whatever the most you can get away with is. And
I don't
true.
disagree with that, but I'm just simply saying if you put police in schools with arrestable powers, the overwhelming majority of the people that get arrested are going to be students. It ain't going to be a bunch of mass killers. They going to be arresting students every other damn, especially in some of the badder schools. You'll have schools where 5% of the students graduate with an arrest record, or they drop out with an arrest record. I don't know if that's actually a good thing for society.
I think it is. I think it needs to happen because at some points, like what about when they get older and they've never faced those consequences beforehand?
Now, if they do it in a manner where, like I said, it's not following them around until they're 35, 40 years of age, maybe we could agree on
Yeah, I
something.
agree with that.
But
Yeah, I agree with that.
in our society, we've shown that we don't like people that go easy on felons. We want people to go tougher on felons. Any liberal,
Yeah.
you hear this about liberal cities all the time, how they're softer on crime and they need to be tougher. We want people to be tougher on crime.
Yeah, I do. And I agree. And then you know what? I think one of the things we could do is have a lot of these punishments be punishments that are really hard in the moment and aren't going to follow you. So like maybe like work like one of the punishments for kids that do bad things in school could be actually like physical labor around the school or something like that. Some kind of punishment that is really really sucks right now. Oh, so they won't want to do it again because they don't want to get in trouble again, but it doesn't follow them as
Okay.
much.
All right. So before I move it on, in regards to the actual topic, though, so you think putting police in schools would reduce the number of mass casualty events?
I do, and I know a lot of people say like, well, why don't we just ban the firearms? Well, for one thing, people can build their own. That's been happening for a long period of
Why?
time.
Why only? But why? There's a lot of countries out there, first world countries out there, where you cannot get your hands on a firearm, and there are not these huge instances of citizens building their own firearms and doing this stuff. Why aren't they doing that? Because people say if you ban firearms, they'll find another way. Why aren't they doing exactly that? Like for instance, let's take the UK for instance. There's not a lot of people getting shot with homemade guns.
Yeah, well, there's already a huge black market. A lot of people from the UK, I actually know a few people from the UK who've actually told me, trust me, if you want to get a firearm, you can get a firearm in the UK on the black market. Like, and there isn't a whole lot of people doing the black, like building their own because it's not as necessary. There's a lot of people. First off, a lot of illegal weapons trade hands on a regular basis.
Right.
So you might have like one firearm trade like 5 hands to commit the same crimes.
I don't.
So-
I hear what you said. I don't agree though that okay. If firearms are difficult to obtain, yeah, some diehards will build their own firearms and things like that. But I do believe it would greatly reduce the numbers because there are a lot of criminals out there that are not interested in building their own firearm. I think the number of them would drop by a lot.
Well, trust me. Just look up Assassination Nation. It's a documentary done by Vice about the Philippines. It is insane how many ghost firearms come out of there. It is absolutely insane. And gangs in LA oftentimes buy them from these overseas manufacturers because if you're a higher end gangbanger who does a lot of like more advanced crime, you want on something that's a lot cleaner, that doesn't have a record and doesn't have a paper trail.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say this: with so many, what is it, 450 million? They've said in this country, regular guns. I'm not talking about the printed. I'm not talking about ghost guns. There's 450 million firearms in this country that started out as legal weapons. You don't really need to go print one. There's enough of them floating around so that most criminals don't need to print one. There's always somebody's house you could break into or car you can break into and find an actual, factory-made firearm. You don't really need to print them. There's too many regular ones floating around.
Well, I will give you this. Point. A lot of illegal firearms that are on the market have been stolen. Now, a high percentage of them are stolen firearms. Yep. So yeah. But again, the whole point I'm making is that it's easy to get some of these firearms because they're cheap, because they trade hands, because they don't want to hold on to them once the cops come running around. They want to commit the crime and then get rid of them fast.
Well, if firearms became harder to get, let's say by way of a ban or something where everything you get has to be on the black market and you can't just go to stores, I believe, people would still be able to get them, but the price of them would go up. I mean, because just like, think about when Obama got elected, they had the belief that he was going to take away guns and the price of the AR-15 tripled in price. Just at the thought that it was going to be harder to get firearms, the price of the AR-15 tripled in price. If you had some type of block or ban on firearms, that's the first thing that would happen is they would become expensive to purchase them, even on the black market. So yeah, the criminals could still get it, but some criminals might not be able to afford it anymore because the price is going to go up. Like as you pointed out right now, guns are pretty damn cheap on the black market.
Right. And actually, you're not entirely wrong about that. There was an episode of Underworld Inc., which is a Nat Geo show, that actually talked about that in California, people can't get them, so they come to the illegal distributors that can charge a higher price.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, if someone is really wanting to be a criminal and they want to do those things that are bad, that they're going to pay whatever price it takes.
Yeah, but a school shooter,
that's how they make money.
Yeah, but a school shooter, which overwhelmingly seems to be students of those schools, they ain't going to be able to meet that price. Like what happened in Madison today. That child, if the price of firearms shot up, that child, if their parents didn't leave that damn thing around, that child wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, you just never know. There's always a way that people find and ways to do this kind of stuff. Again, here's the thing. I think that we both want the same thing: less dead kids, right?
Yeah, but we're not doing anything. That's the problem. Everybody is saying we want to, because we know thoughts and prayers ain't worth shit. That ain't gonna stop this. So what are we actually doing to actually address it? I don't see anything being done.
Right, but that's mostly politicians. I would say the left and
that's
the
where it's
right
going to come from.
Yeah, I know. It does have to actually go through the halls of power. But here's the thing. The nice thing is, I think people like you and me, the common man, we actually would change things.
I think we would argue on it too. I got to move it on, though, Jeremy, but I think we have a problem. Because I think I'm looking at it from a left-wing perspective. You're looking at it from a right-wing perspective. So even a common man, I don't think would agree on it as much. But thanks for coming through.
Thank you for having me on.
Always. Looking in the comments, ghost guns is a cover-all term which can include deserialized ones, but more often than not, it's 3D printed externals and then a metal barrel and a fire. I don't, when it comes to if you ban firearms, everybody's going to have these 3D print. I don't think it would. In time, it could get there that way. But like I said, I do believe if you had some type of serious ban on firearms, like for instance, my last guest said, what he said about in the UK they have a black market. So if you want a firearm, you can get one. Yeah, but I bet it costs a fortune. Like when I lived in Australia, the same thing existed there. There were what they call biker gangs or bikies or something they call them. Same thing, like the Hells Angels and shit. Like if you want a firearm in Australia, you can get one, but it costs a fortune. The average street thug is not going to be able to afford to get one. There are people that have. There are people that are from the criminal element that have firearms, but they're not out doing little 2-bit robberies and shit like that because a gun is worth more than what they're taking. In America, where you can you can get a firearm pretty damn easy, almost free, if you know whose house or car to break into. You got folks out here committing $5 robberies with a firearm because they're that easy to get. Real quick, looking in the comments. Hey, Korean guy, why does your entire country like the depiction of children in anime getting? Josh, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Jeez. If you got a buddy who's good with tools, then you'd eventually end up making CNC machines illegal. Well, the problem also with printing guns is then it becomes whoever owns the printer is committing a major felony. I'm not saying that you could ever eradicate all firearms from America. I don't think you could ever do that. But several countries have shown us you can make a serious dent in firearm ownership of your population. Now, I know a lot of folks on the right clearly think that any type of limitation on guns is barking up the wrong damn tree. I get it. But I always point out on the program, the liberals believe that tougher gun laws will stop children from losing their lives. The right often say it's a mental illness problem. We see the liberals passing laws that make it tougher to own a firearm. Some would say the laws fail. I get it. We don't see the right doing anything about mental health. I'm not aware that the right has really done anything to address the problem that they admit is what's causing kids to lose their lives. If the right believes it's mental health, you should have easier access to mental health facilities in Republican states than you do in liberal states because they believe that is what will save children from dying. I'm not seeing that. I don't believe it's any easier to get access to mental health in Texas than it would be in New York. I don't see anywhere out there that suggests that the right is really taking addressing mental health any more serious than any average liberal. I don't see where they're in favor of universal health care so that it would be covered or anything like that. So they're claiming it's mental health, but I don't see where they're doing anything about it. You look like an ancient African drawing. Thank you, Jay Easy, I guess. Frankly, that does upset me too. Nobody seems to want to allocate resources to mental health in this country. Yeah. In fact, when Obama tried to pass the Universal Care Act, the Affordable Care Act, rather, which would have given people access to health care, which includes mental health care, most of the Republican states were against it. They fought against it. So the same people that are telling you it's a mental health issue are on record as fighting against making it easier for you to access mental health. That doesn't make any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense at all. Let me go back to the box. They're not old gold, does it say? How the Bears gonna fuck around and end up with another touchdown? I'll go back to the box, but I got money the Bears lose by 7, and they about to score a damn touchdown. Bears, you need to slow down. Let me go back to the box. Cedric, good evening, Cedric. If it brings him up. Cedric, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing good. What am I getting wrong in regards to this? We've had another school shooting, essentially. And I'm asking the question, do we even seem to care about this in America?
Well, I care about it, but I don't know if everybody else does.
What about our government?
I don't think they care about it as much as they try to make it seem like they do.
Now you said you started out by saying you care about it. So let me ask you, just like I've asked every other caller, if you were given a task that you had to write a report and submit methods to reduce or address this problem, you had to submit that to, let's say, the governor or mayor or president. What suggestions would you submit that might end or at least limit this problem from happening?
Well, I mean, it's a touchy subject. I think the country has steered so far from where we used to be in the past.
In what way?
This stuff didn't happen back in the day.
True.
But now, today, everybody feels so entitled to the free world that they can do whatever they feel the need to do.
Okay. So what would you submit to address it?
I think we need to go back to some of the old school ways, man. I think we need to get off of letting everybody do whatever they wanted to do. Every time somebody hollers, this ain't right, this ain't fair, there's a new law that comes out that lets them do whatever they want to do. And there's no rules and regulations to anything anymore. We're back at the Wild West stages at this point.
So what do you say? More government oversight could save children in schools?
I do feel like, yes, a little bit more government control, a little bit more hard crackdown laws and regulations on stuff would fix this.
Give me some examples of these laws and regulations. What do you think is not being done now that should be done? I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Your last couple of callers or whatever, you talked about gun control and things
Right.
like that, and where you can get off the black market and what you can do with this and what you can do with that.
Right.
Okay, so laws have gotten softer, in my opinion, on gun control. And I'm a Republican. Now, am I a gigantic Trump supporter? No, sir, I'm not. But I am a traditional Republican. Mm-hmm. One thing I do not agree with is you have people who get caught one time or two times with a stolen firearm or something like that, and it's almost like the court system slaps them on the wrist and puts them on probation and tells them, hey, don't do that again. But here they are again, and then you slap them again on the wrist. And no, do something about it the first or second time, and maybe some people will start to realize that, hey, you have to be disciplined.
Yeah. But I understand the tougher on crime approach with people who are, felon in possession or something like that. But you do realize that most of these school shooters, they're not felons. They're not people that would get caught up by any of that. Let's say they had a mandatory 15 years. If they had a mandatory 15-year prison sentence for everyone that was caught with a firearm that, they've already been caught, as you say, I don't think that would stop any of these, because I don't think any of the shooters have done that.
I don't either. I don't think any of these people go in to do these school shootings and think about the consequences afterwards.
No, what I'm saying is your issue where you're talking about people who are not properly punished or they're getting slaps on the wrist. I'm saying the people that are doing this are not that type of person. They're not people that have already been in court for, possessing an illegal. Most of these guys are doing it with legal guns that their parents own legally or guns that they own legally. So illegal firearms are not what's being used in these events.
Yeah, but these people that do this stuff, I think it boils back down to some callers that you had on earlier today was talking about it, and I think it goes back to entitlement. That these people, they don't care.
I believe that.
Well, yeah, they don't care, but at the same time, they're what you say, they're middle class, they come from wealthy families or something like that. Yeah, but they come from wealthy families with no discipline. They are the kind of people that put their kids in a corner for timeout instead of bringing the belt off.
Yeah, somebody else said that. A good old-fashioned ass whooping would help.
Yeah, you got to bring back some of the old school ways in this country. I feel like that's one of the biggest things that this place needs.
I'm
a younger man, Tim, and I come from a daddy I'm a mixed man. I come from a daddy. I got in trouble in school one time, and he told me to go stand in the corner, and he was off in the shop one night building a paddle and drilling holes in it so he could
Damn.
come up there and tell me about what I done. And I told him I was going to call 911, Tim. He went downstairs, got the house phone, had 911 dialed, and told me to hit the green button when I was ready and whooped my ass.
Yeah, that's kind of what my dad would have done too, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So you don't see where, because you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation, it's actually become, the gun laws have become softer, so it's actually become increasingly easier in America to get firearms. You don't think that's had
Oh,
anything to do with it at all?
It has.
Yeah.
It has. And as a Republican, I'm a gigantic firearm owner. I have a gun safe full of them. But there's certain rules and regulations, and somebody pointed it out earlier today that I think would not be a bad idea. If a private seller sells a gun that's in his name or something like that, I think there should be a track through the government of within so many hours or within that day that, hey, I sold that firearm and there's a new owner out here. Instead of just passing guns all over the place, left and right. The government does keep track of who firearm owners are when you buy them legally.
Right. But
once it's already bought from the pawn shop or the gun store after that, you can do whatever you want with them after that.
Yeah.
There's no... They don't keep track of them after
so
that.
you can purchase a gun yourself legally, but once you get rid of it, they have no clue who you got rid of it to.
Nope.
Yeah.
I can sell a firearm in my name to somebody else today, and it'll still be in my name, but it's not in my possession.
That's the gun show loophole that people have talked about, and
There is.
And a lot of folks on the right say the gun show loophole does not exist. And
yes, it does.
Yeah.
And I am a Republican. There are gun shows every other weekend. I'm from Arkansas. I live in Arkansas. I reside in Arkansas. There are gun shows every other weekend around here, and you can walk into a gun show and buy a firearm without any questions asked.
No,
unless they're private sellers.
No background checks or anything.
No background checks.
Wow.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
I've literally had callers come on here. Obviously, folks who lean right, that are big 2A folks who swear up and down that loophole does not exist that you're talking about. There's no way.
It definitely exists, and I don't think getting rid of gun rights, the Second Amendment, is the right way, but cracking down on things like that is a big deal.
Yeah,
because firearms should not just be freely bought out here.
Yeah, I think John McCain, before he passed away, was talking about the gun show loophole was real. He was another one that was totally against it. But like I said, a lot of people on the right, I got folks in the comments right now while you're talking that are saying what you're saying is not true. Ty says,
I have personally been to gun shows. It is 110% true.
Now
these folks live. Look, I'm Republican, but I'm not as far MAGA right as some of these people are, and some of them live in a world that don't even exist.
Now he says you have to do a 44. Hold on, what is a 4473?
I have no clue.
He says you have to do a 4473 to sell a gun. I've never heard.
You do not. Tim, you can walk to your next door neighbor's house right now. He's got a pistol for sale, and you can give him $200 and buy it. There ain't no questions asked.
Yeah, and that's legal.
As long as it's illegally, as long as it's not used in a crime, it's legal.
Wow. So
nobody's gonna ask any questions about it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because when I lived in Chicago, we would, I lived on the south side of Chicago, rather. We had folks who would go to, because Chicago does have a history of having some restrictions on purchasing firearms. But you could go to Indiana, which is only like a 10-minute drive, and it's a Republican state, and their gun laws are very relaxed. And a lot of people from the criminal element knew people, that legal gun owners, that would go to Indiana, go to one of those type of shows, buy a heap of weapons, and then they just come in, hand them out to criminals. Now, at that point, they can say they're stolen or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The criminal wants a gun. Now he doesn't have a right to own a gun anyway. So if the gun is stolen, it doesn't mean a damn thing to him. So if the guy goes over to another state and buys a firearm and sells it to a criminal, that is how they were getting them in Chicago. That now people would no, they're smuggling men through Mexico. You don't need to do that. You can do what you're talking about right now. If you're in Chicago and you want a black market gun, you don't need to smuggle some shit in through Mexico. That makes no sense.
Well, I mean, there are probably guns that are struggled into
Yeah,
the
there
country.
are. And those are made here. Mexico's not making guns.
No, United States is probably one of the largest
Yeah.
manufacturers in the absolute world of gun manufacturing. But most of the guns, yes, that exist on the streets in the United States of America are bought on the streets in the United States of America.
Yeah.
There's no ways around that.
Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, I get a lot of folks on the program that swear up and down they're being smuggled in, they're being printed. But my notion is if you take a gun out of the hand of a criminal, the overwhelming majority of guns that come from criminals are either purchased, found, or stolen from legal gun owners. They either bought it from a legal gun owner, like what you and I are talking about at Gun Show Loopholes, broke in somebody's house that owns it legally and stole it, or somebody who owned a legal firearm moved or something and forgot they left one in the attic or something, and they found it. That's where most of the criminals are getting their weapons. They're buying, stealing them, or finding them from legal gun owners. And we always hear
Correct.
that if you
You'll have a pawn shop robbed in your local town, and there's 15 firearms missing. Well,
Yeah.
where do you think them 15 firearms ended up? They ended up on the street.
Yeah, and that's what they always say. If you ban guns, the street will always no, but they don't tell you the street isn't making guns. The street is
No,
being
no, it's not.
the street is being supplied guns by legal gun owners. Legal gun owners are at the top of the pyramid, giving everybody
I disagree.
everybody on the street that have illegal weapons. The overwhelming majority of those firearms came by way of a legal gun owner. And that's what they don't want to tell you. They tell you the street is doing it. No, the street ain't making them. The street is getting them from people like you and me.
Well, you had one on here earlier in the comment section that was hollering, when a crime is committed with a gun by somebody who doesn't own that gun, that the owner of the gun should be charged too. So you mean to tell me I have a firearm in my truck right now?
Mm-hmm.
I always never leave my house with one. The world's too crazy. It's too crazy out here. You pull up at the red light, somebody shoot you.
Yeah.
But he said that the owner of the gun should be charged too. So you mean to tell me my truck's sitting in my driveway right now, somebody comes over here and steals my truck and drives off with my gun in it, I should be charged for that?
I don't, I'm torn on it because I do believe there should be a better requirement in America to keep guns secure. We pretty much have no law requiring
I think there should be harsher punishment for the ones that are committing the crimes initially.
I don't disagree with that, but the lack of security on firearms does give them the ability to do that crime. I mean, we do know that in certain neighborhoods, if you break in a house, right behind the door, it's gonna be a shotgun. Under the couch, it's gonna be a rifle. On top of the refrigerator, you already know where they at. You already know where they at.
Tim, I got a shotgun beside my bed, a pistol in the kitchen, a pistol in the truck. These people crazy out here, man.
Yeah, but you're not at home all the time, there, Cedric. So somebody goes in.
And if I'm not at home, I got a pistol with me wherever I go.
That ain't what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if a person watches you leave your house, as long as they avoid you and make sure you're far away, your home is an arsenal that somebody can collect. Your home is
You are 110% correct. But sometimes you read up on some of these little, local town cases or whatever where somebody was breaking and entering and stole a firearm and they get put on probation and sent back out in the road like they'll do it again.
I'm okay.
Be harsher on the punishments initially, and some of this stuff will start to wind down.
I want to agree with you, but I would quote the war on drugs as an example of being harsher on punishments, and it didn't stop a damn thing. That didn't. If you don't address why people actually are taking up firearms and going out to do bad things with them, I don't think just being tougher on crime is going to do it. I mean, if somebody, for instance, let's say people are doing this, so they
Tim,
go ahead.
Tim, some of these people, you said it, why they're taking the firearms.
Yes.
Some of these people, as a mixed man, some of these people, and it's not the black community, it's not the white community. Some of these people out here stealing guns, especially these young kids these days, because they think it's cool.
Yeah.
They think it's cool to have a Glock in their waistband. They find they find that hey, that's the way of life. That's cool. Ain't nobody gonna mess with me no more, because I robbed old Hank's house down the road.
Well,
I mean,
but what about Hank's house? What about the requirement that you should keep your weapons secure?
well, Tim, if somebody kicking my door in at 2 a.m., if I got my gun locked up in the safe, how am I supposed to get to it?
Does it have to have? Do you have to have one in every room though?
Hey, I might be taking a shit in the bathroom when they kick the door in, Tim. You gotta.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
You gotta be ready. They're too crazy out here, man.
Is America that fucked up that you can't even take a
Yes,
shit in your own
yes,
house
yes,
without
yes,
needing a gun in the
yes.
bathroom? What
Yes,
about a good
yes.
alarm system? What about a strong door?
Your alarm system ain't gonna keep you from somebody coming in the door with a gun himself.
What about a stronger door then?
That stronger door costs money.
I mean, I haven't seen somebody, that sounds like something off of Lethal Weapon where Danny Glover's sitting on the toilet and it's about to explode. I mean, like, you don't even feel comfortable taking a shit in your own house unless you're armed, huh?
Well, do I feel comfortable taking shit in my house? Yeah, Tim. But if I keep on reading stories on the internet about how Hank got killed down the road sitting on the toilet, then no, I don't feel comfortable no more. They too crazy out here, man.
Man, I hear about a lot of wild shit. I don't hear about too many people getting shot on the toilet taking that shit.
Hey, they just ain't on the news. It
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, I bet you.
It happened somewhere.
Oh my god! All right, man, I gotta move it on. But I bet you're probably correct. I'm sure there probably are some people that have been shot right there on the crabber, but damn.
Oh yeah. It happens out here, man. This is crazy world we live in.
But you do see, but even for somebody on the right who clearly favors the Second Amendment, you do seem to have a little bit of play
I got
there.
some
Yeah,
yes,
you're
sir.
not.
I have some leniency in it.
Yeah,
There should be some. I have no problem with being stricter on the stuff, but some of these people out here holler, well, the AR-15 is unnecessary. Everything else, Tim, I can do more damage with my handgun than I can do with an AR-15. Everybody likes to holler AR-15's an assault rifle. I'm a hunter.
Yeah, but everybody might not have your proficiency though. If you don't have a lot of proficiency with a weapon, an AR is probably going to be more.
Yes, but I feel like some people are extremely uneducated about
Well,
weaponry.
I don't disagree with
And an
that.
AR-15, everybody hollers also is a large size assault rifle. Tim, an AR-15 is one of the smallest hunt rifle rounds that you can buy.
Yeah, but it zips out of there pretty damn fast, and it does a lot more trauma than a lot of
So does a
pistols.
handgun, Tim. So does a handgun.
You're telling me a round from an AR is no more damaging than the average pistol?
Oh no, sir. A 40-45 caliber pistol do just as much damage as an AR.
Yeah, but damn, you picking the biggest pistol they got.
No, they got bigger ones than that,
Damn.
Tim. They
Huh?
got bigger ones than that.
Well, yeah. What you hit him with a 50 or a Desert Eagle or something? I mean, that's a big ass
No.
pistol.
Now, my average carry gun is a 9mm, and I can do just as much damage with a 9mm as I can an AR-15.
All right.
And that 9mm holds more rounds than that AR. Mine does.
What do you got under that 9 to do that?
Don't ask too many questions. But again, I protect my household. It's gonna be protected.
You got a 9 pistol that's carrying more rounds than an AR?
Tim, they sell 9mm off the market without any sort of extra anything that'll hold 20 bullets.
Yeah. I'm going to admit I'm not totally, even though I carry, I'm not that savvy on this shit at that level. So All right. I don't know. The whole gun on the crapper thing kind of threw me for a loop, but I got to move it on, man.
All right,
All
Tim.
right. Good talk, by the way. Good talk. Come on back
Oh, good
anytime.
though.
You too. NG says, makes no sense. Criminals don't make cars, but they can steal or use them to go on high speed chases and commit crimes. Should we stop making cars? Well, no. Interesting point. And I brought this up in our earlier live, and I saw you ask me, Will, what happened earlier. I had to step away. My device, one of them froze, and I just turned it off. I had to step away there, Will G, earlier. That's what happened. You asked, when you say, though, because criminals can access vehicles, and take the police on a high speed chase, should we stop making cars? No, I don't think you should stop making cars, but I brought this up on the earlier live, is that we have done a lot to improve we've done a lot in regards to the handling of vehicles since the vehicle was the car was invented. You look at the Model T compared to cars now in 2024. All of the safety precautions. We've changed the way we make tires so they can stop quicker. They've added analog brakes, airbags to protect the passengers. Seat belts weren't around in the beginning. Crumple zones. I mean, there's like a million different things we've done to cars to make them safer since cars were invented. We've done nothing with firearms. Nothing. No laws. We've done nothing with firearms. That's the difference. That is the difference. Now, obviously, a gun is a right, a car is a privilege, but we've done nothing with firearms to address the fact that just like the Model T, you may have started out with the Model T, but now you can get your hands on, a semi. You can get your hands on cars that are considerably more powerful than a Model T ever was. Ferrari, whatever you want, you name the horsepower, you name the weight of it, the size of it. You can get a car that is considerably more bigger, dangerous, and powerful than a Model T. And there are all kinds of rules that have been put in place because cars have become more powerful, heavier, faster. You look at firearms, which also have become more powerful, heavier, and lethal. And we've done nothing to address the fact that they are. When the Second Amendment, think about the quality of a firearm when the Second Amendment was passed. You didn't have anything that was automatic or that could hold, as my last caller was talking about, 20 rounds in your hand, semi-auto. You didn't have any of that stuff. Yet the laws that are for the Second Amendment are pretty much the same as they were back then. They've done nothing to address the fact that these things are not the same as they were back then. Whereas with cars, since Ed G pointed out about a thief could steal a car, cars got all kinds of security devices on them, even to prevent the person from stealing it. There are even stuff like that, alarms and you can ignition disables and all kinds of shit. They've done nothing, absolutely nothing with firearms to address the changes of technology and all of that over the years. So I think it's a little bit different than that. Looking in the comments though, manufacturers are researching biometric safety devices for weapons. I got safety. The devices I'm talking to you on right now, they all require my fingerprint to turn them on. All of them do. Your phone can also be used. You can have a face scanner. I used to drive for Uber and Lyft. To activate that app, you got to stare in your phone and it recognizes your face. We've long since, at least about a decade, we've had the technology to make a firearm not work in terms of bio. They could have made that. My guess is the NRA people wouldn't favor that. They could have firearms like that out there where you need some type of. I mean, how long does it take when you grab the pistol if you need to use it in a defensive use? How long would it take the pistol to recognize the hand that's holding it? Probably wouldn't take that long. Obviously, if you got a glove on or something like that, that may prohibit it, but they already have stuff like that. My vehicle, and I'm assuming a lot of other folks have vehicles like this, where I don't have to stick the key in the door anymore. As long as it's in my pocket, I can push the door handle and the vehicle knows the key is there and it lets me into my car. You telling me they can't do this kind of stuff for a firearm? This stuff is already there. Okay, so whatever allows me to get in my car, let's say you got a ring on or a necklace on or something that has the same technology that is in my key fob that knows if that device is close enough to that firearm, the firearm can be allowed to work. That way, the owner of the firearm has to wear a ring or a necklace or a bracelet or whatever the case may be. And it lets the firearm knows as long as I am within a few feet of this device, I can shoot if the trigger is pulled. If this bracelet or ring or something like that is not around, you can pull the trigger all day and the weapon won't work. They actually could make that if they wanted to. That technology is there. That technology already exists. I don't think the NRA would want that though. And that's what Anthony just said. They abandoned it because of the 2A backlash. Yeah, I believe that. They wouldn't want that because that is infringement somewhat. Keyless entry, that's what it's called there, Will G. Exactly. That is keyless entries. Yeah, you could have that for a firearm. As long as you have whatever you need, like I said, I don't care if it's a damn toe ring, because whatever's in your key fob, it's not that big. Whatever it is, that car can recognize as long as that key fob is on you somewhere, it's close enough to the door that when you touch the door, this person can open it. That same technology could exist on a firearm. Rural areas actually have some of the highest gun violence per capita, and they are all blue counties. I don't buy that. He said rural areas have some of the highest gun violence per capita, and they are all blue counties. Most rural areas are red. I don't know if I buy that. I'd have to see more on that. Again, signal jammers will fuck you. So not only are the criminals coming in to rob you, now they're coming in with a signal jammer on them. How close to the key fob would you have to get to jamming with a signal? I mean, look, no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody that'll foil you. Okay, so a person coming in with a signal jammer, that's the equivalent of somebody breaking in your house with a bulletproof vest on. Yeah, there's always a way to thwart what you're doing, but the average person is not going to be going around with a signal jammer on to do that. That's just like the average criminal is not wearing a bulletproof vest. It actually ain't. I mean, how much does it cost to get body armor? It's not that expensive. But yet most criminals are not wearing it when they're committing crimes. So I don't think they would have signal jammers either. Joey is just saying the same thing over and over again. Who is Joey? I didn't see that. Yeah, I see the rural area thing. I don't believe that. And if they are red, they just flipped red. They are blue for 20 years. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And by the way, I don't know if the politics, because liberals are doing little to nothing to make it harder to purchase. Liberals have been losing that battle, so it doesn't matter if they a blue county or not. Even in the blue areas, gun ownership is becoming easier and easier. So it's not like the liberals are passing all these tough gun laws all over America. There is very, very few places in this country that it is hard to buy a firearm for self-defense. I don't care how blue the area is. Throughout most of America, out of the thousands of cities and villages that exist in this country, probably over 99% of them, as long as you don't have a criminal history or some significant documented cases of mental illness, you can get a gun. Doesn't matter what color the administration is in your city, county, village, or town, blue or red. The overwhelming majority of locations in this country, you can get a firearm for self-defense. So the blue and red thing doesn't make any sense. You can get them any damn where now. So if you go by county, blue is way worse. Blue is always going to be way worse because there's more people in blue areas. If you want to talk about how much blue areas are going to have more crime in them, always more than red areas, because most red areas, the populations are significantly smaller. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, the top 50 cities, the overwhelming, I think out of the top 50 cities, 30-something of them are Democrat. 9 are Republican. The rest of them are independent or something like that. I mean, most of America is blue. Most of America, in terms of the county where the people live, is blue. We don't go by the popular vote, we go by the electoral college. But if you just go by sheer number of people, most of America's blue. It just is. Nobody here knows what per capita is. Really? Is that right, Adam? I hope not. Durham, North Carolina, the convicted felon charged with firearms, DA dismisses as long, no violent crime. Don't know what you mean there. Will says, what say you about those drones? I think Trump and Elon are behind it, but trying to make it, I don't think Trump and Elon Musk are behind the drones we're seeing. Trump's talking about shooting them down. You know, this is one of those areas where I don't think the government knows. I mean, some might suggest that maybe it's a high classified event where they're testing shit and they don't want to tell the people. I don't think the government knows. But it's hard to imagine it's some citizen doing it because there's so many of them, and the size of them would make them very expensive. It's something to be concerned about, in my opinion. I don't want to say I'm frightened about it, but the government. Let me just say this, and I know my liberals may hate me for saying this. The drones is a situation I think Trump would be a better president for. I would rather have Trump in office where you got strange shit flying in there than Biden. Simply because Trump gets on television and talks to the American people and Biden ain't saying shit of any significance. You're getting statements being released by third parties. Trump will be on TV talking about that shit. That's what's hurting us, is that Americans are in the dark and they don't feel like the government's talking to us enough. Trump would be doing that. I would rather have Trump in office under a situation like that. Tell me something. I mean, Trump case, some of it may not be true, but holla at your boy. Tell me something. These things are flying over my crib every night. You ain't saying nothing? You even got cops calling it. Like, say something. Biden ain't doing that. So I'm going to say flat out, in a case like that, I think Trump would be a better president for that. I really don't think the government knows. I don't think they know what they are, Will. I just don't. This is where to me the Biden administration looks bad. You got to get out in front of this. A lot of Americans are scared. People shooting at them damn things because you ain't giving them nothing to work with. They know it's something that's frightening. They're hearing some people in positions of power, like cops and shit, saying that these things are coming in off the ocean. So it's not just a bunch of crazy lunatics. People in power, military people are saying they've seen these things. Police helicopters. And you're in the Biden administration, the statements they're releasing, they're just not statements of confidence. You're not making anybody feel better. Nothing's coming out of the Biden administration. Trump, on the other hand, I just appointed somebody, and we're gonna be driving around. If we see one of these damn things, we're gonna shoot it down. We're gonna try our best to shoot it down. I mean, that's what he would say. I do believe Trump's statements on this would be more reassuring, even if they weren't true. We don't know, but I think his statements to the American people on something like this, like what he said, these things should be shot down. He said that, I think, on the internet today or this weekend. Either the military should say something, or these things should be shot down. That was a flat out statement from him. I agree with that. I actually agree with that. Either tell us what these damn things are or tell us what you're doing about it. Biden administration has been very flaky on what the hell's going on. So, and like I said, you got cops and people coming up to their own conclusions because of Biden. Same thing with the balloon going over America. Trump wouldn't let that happen. That ain't gonna happen under Trump. I hate to sound like MAGA, but these are areas where Biden looked weak. You got a balloon sailing all the way across the country, and Biden doesn't decide to shoot it down until it's all the way over the East Coast. When you don't spot it, this thing entering the country on the west side of the country. So it sailed all the way over the United States, collecting who knows how much data and transmitting it back. Then you decide to shoot it down when it's over the Carolinas. That ain't happening under Trump. So now, TU says it did happen under Trump. There were balloons that were apparently sighted under Trump. But once the American public knows about it, that's a big difference. If the American people know about it, you got to shoot it down. Luis Perez says, who gives a fuck? Frightened American citizens, perhaps? Citizens in their backyard shooting at the damn sky? Some of them folks, I posted a video on my TikTok the other day. Somebody in their backyard firing up rounds with tracers, trying to actually shoot the damn thing down, trying to shoot it down. So yeah, it happens. Arsha, good evening, welcome to the program. What do you mean? Who gives a fuck? People don't know what it is. You want that over your backyard? Oh, Anthony,
Yes, sir.
you jamming your ass over there. What's up, man?
I don't know what happened then. The music just started playing.
Oh, okay. All right. So what do you think? Am I getting wrong on this? I do believe that under this situation where we got unknown aircraft flying over this country at very low altitudes, by the way, I think Trump would be a better commander-in-chief to handle that shit.
I mean, on part of it, it's like they're saying they're flying over military installations. Dude, you're not going to fly a drone over a military installation and the military not do nothing about it.
I think Trump would clear that up then. I don't think Trump would let everybody be spooked. If our military is doing this and they're doing it in a confidential manner, I think Trump would either slip and let out what's going on, or I just think his statement would be more reassuring than what we're getting from Biden.
Now, yeah, he probably would slip and let it out, but I mean, you got to think about it. Back when they were doing when they first started doing the stealth fighter and the stealth bomber stuff like that, they were doing night flights to keep it under wraps. You rarely ever seen that thing come out the hangar during the day.
Yeah, but when you got stuff flying over people's cribs at night, they're in the backyard and this thing is flying so damn low, they feel like they could throw a rock up and hit it. You got to tell people what's going on. Yeah, the F-22, F-35 at 25, 30,000, 50,000 feet is a big difference than something flying over somebody's garage.
Yeah, but they were doing, I mean, they already said that some of those are personal drones. I've heard a couple of reports that
the size of a car.
They were personal. Some of them aren't. Well, I know a bunch of guys that got remote control airplanes. I know one that has a mock of a C-130 Hercules. Man, that damn thing is the size of my car.
Yeah, but you don't fly that at night.
Oh, yeah, he flies it at night.
Really?
In Atlanta.
Wow.
In Atlanta. Matter of fact, Tyler Perry has a few up there that he flies that they've gotten onto him for flying late at night.
Yeah, but you in people's neighborhoods over their cribs like that?
Oh yeah, I mean most of the little landing areas are in neighborhoods. A lot of these people that fly these things are in nice neighborhoods that they just want to have a little fun. So they get out there. They got the cameras on them so they can see where they're flying and everything. They got the maps and everything on the display and everything. So, but I mean, that's with that. But I want to get on this gun safety thing with the school unloading and all that.
Let me hear it.
Man, dude, I'm working to become a certified gunsmith. Man, I've been reading laws and stuff on these guns and stuff. These PPUs. Let me.
But before you go into that, on the screen, because I am somebody who used to fly aircraft at night, and I've had the police contact me. On the screen there, you see a picture of me there holding one of my gliders. Now I'm 6'6", and you see how much taller the wingspan is. This aircraft I used to fly at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's outfitted completely with lights and stuff like that. And I've actually had the cops come find me because I got a whole host of aircraft, and they used to come find me. But this was maybe 7-8 years ago, and I was the only. Everybody in my neighborhood knew if they seen something flying up in the sky at night. At night, they knew it was me. They knew where I was standing, flying, and everything. But this situation, what they're doing now, I think is a little different. But go ahead. You said, what were you saying now?
Well, on the new ones, because I'm in RC planes and cars and all that crap. But it's like on the new ones, man, I noticed that you got range out the yin yang. So
when you're flying in a 5 gigahertz or whatever they're flying. 'Cause I got 2.5 gigahertz stuff, but yeah, now you can fly stuff 10 miles away from you.
Yes.
That's insane.
That's what they're figuring out on a lot of stuff. But but yeah, back to the pew-pews, man. It's like this. I own quite a few weapons, a few exotic weapons.
Okay.
But it's like I got pulled over by the cops and had half of my stuff in the car. They asked me who was I about to go to war with.
Damn.
But it's like
that's impressive for you know, we talk about the cops and racial issues. That's impressive for a black man to have all that and walk away from it though.
Oh, they asked me that while I was in handcuffs.
I thought I was getting somewhere. Maybe not. All right, maybe not.
But all the cops know my name now. But it's like I'm real safe. I got two young boys. I got a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real safe with my weapons. They know that they don't know the code to my safe. You know, they don't. They know I keep my gun on my side. When I'm in my living room playing PlayStation late at night, guess what? It's sitting on my coffee table. But I've already taken my boys out and shown them what that weapon can do. So they know it can cause mass damage. Now, on top of that, it's like I never leave it where they can get their hands on it or anything like that.
So when you're not around, your weapons are locked up.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my last guest was making it clear he got them all over the house, and they don't sound like they're locked up at all.
I mean, I got a couple that sits in different spots in the house, but you wouldn't see them. Besides, they're in a little lockbox. It's biometric. I hit it, it pops up, and I can let you have it right then.
You can go to work. Okay. All right. So
as far as like Old Boy was saying, I've fallen a victim to it too. I'll be in an area that I don't know or something like that, and I'm in a hotel room and I go use the crapper. I'll take mine in there with me. But it's my EDC. It's my everyday carry. It's gonna be on me anyway because it's holstered to my hip.
Right.
You know, so all that, you know, it ain't that I'm that scared, but if I got an EDC and I got somebody in the room with me, I'm not gonna leave my weapon out there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense to a point. I can kind of understand it. That's just like that. America's gotten. I mean, people just don't feel good going around. I mean, what does this country come to where people don't even feel like they are comfortable taking a shit without being armed?
Let's see, the craziest thing, man, is this right here. Everybody's reacting on fear. Fear of this, fear of that. They fear the thugs because the thugs supposedly got all the guns. Well, I'm from Atlanta. Dude, yes, we got a lot of thugs with guns, but guess what? They acting just like the legal people. They trying their best not to have to use it unless they have to.
I mean, nobody wants to get in a gunfight.
Exactly, you know. You don't know who the better aim is.
Right. I mean, yeah, because at the end of the day, there's nothing. Good guys lose gunfights every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, man, it's that taking accountability, being safe with your weapon and all that. You got to do that. You know, you got to learn your gun safety, too, because I'll be honest with you. I've heard and I've seen one or two where these so-called thugs walking around with it in their pants with the extended clips and all that stuff. And they go to grab it, and then they shoot off around, and then one of their enemies is somewhere around. They like, you know, somebody that don't like them or they had a fight with. They hear that gunshot and they see that gun in that person's hands. They're automatically gonna start shooting at them.
Yeah.
You know, so that causes a lot of stuff. There's quite a few things that happen in the gangster community off accident. Yeah. But the biggest thing is, it's like with these weapons, man. People go buy them. They want to have them, but they don't want to take responsibility of what happens to them. I sold one of my ARs. You do not have to do any documentation or anything to sell your weapon personal in a private selling, which is kind of like the gun shows.
So yet another 2A person that's admitting the gun show loophole is real.
Yeah, it's definitely real. And the funniest thing about it is the person I was selling it to got mad because I told him I wanted to do a bill of sale notarized and signed. So if he does anything dumb with that gun.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't even want you to do that.
No, he didn't want to, but he did it because he wanted that weapon. I build my weapons so they do what they're supposed to do very well. Right. So,
but there is no. But you did was kind of like a cover your ass type thing. But it is not mandatory by law to do that.
No, it's not. But I mean, common sense should. Well, I take that back because common sense ain't always common these days and times. But a person that thinking halfway logical should say, if I bought this gun, then I did paperwork at the gun store at this store to buy it. I'm gonna cover my butt if I sell it.
Yeah.
And I don't care what it is. It could be. I could get a little itty bitty Derringer. Trust me, I will still do a bill of sale when I sell this to somebody else if I sell it. You know.
So when you do a bill of sale, do you put the information of the person you sold it to on there?
Yes.
Okay. So you really have a record then.
To the point where I put their driver's license number on.
Yeah. So you really have a record, and then that would help close that loophole. But like you said,
And it would cut down on a lot of illegal guns out here too. That's just being transferred around. But as far as how it plays in with the school unloadings, is if these people would, like the one guy that went and bought his legally, that's gonna happen every now and then. Hopefully it'll stop going to the schools. Everybody's saying make the school a hard target. I got a high schooler, and this kid, I had to talk to him yesterday about comparing his school to prison.
Damn.
You know, he already thinks it's like prison. What is it going to be like if they put metal detectors and all that crap up there? You know, they don't feel like they're able to just go.
But is there any way at all where you can reduce the number of children losing their lives in school to gunfire in a society that everybody can get a gun so easily? Is there any way to make this happen while still allowing people to freely have guns anytime they want them?
Well, yes and no. Well, as far as the school-wise, I mean, one resource officer or two resource officers for a full school is not gonna get it.
Oh, shit.
You know.
So how many armed people do you want at the average school?
Well, I mean, that's why colleges actually have a college police.
You want every elementary and high school?
No. I'm not saying it that way, but like at our high school right now, there are about, I want to say 5 to 8 officers at that school at all times. It's not a high number, but according to most schools that I've been going to and I've seen, it's higher than I usually see.
But shit, even though it's not a high number, you realize how much money they're spending just in armed security. You said 5 to 8 or whatever you said, and people got to take vacations, so somebody got to work for. When you think about how many armed cops they probably got at least 10 people in rotation, and they're all making, I don't know, 40, 50,000 a year. I mean, it could be $1 million a year just paying armed officers.
Yeah, I know a couple of them. I think a couple of them are retired officers, but they went back and did that for like a lesser amount of money or whatever. But I mean, it's like it sounds crazy and it does sound expensive.
It's
but
expensive,
is right here. It is expensive, but the thing is those same cops, they do their school route, because our cops here do 12-hour shifts. So they do their school shift. And then they get off and they go do their little traffic for a few minutes and then they gone. So they still getting out in there. And if it's something big that happens, some of those will report to it, from the school.
I mean, because I think about a city like Chicago and how many schools they have in that town. If every school even had 3 officers in it, I mean, that would literally be hundreds of people. I mean, the amount of money that would cost for that town just to have 3 cops in every school. I mean, that would be incredible.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying, I do see how even the fights at our at the high school that my son goes to, even the fights and stuff like that, they have dropped dramatically because they have that presence. You know what I mean?
And how many armed officers are at your kid's school?
I want to say, like I said, between 5 to 8.
Damn, that is like a prison. Shit, what they call the principal warden?
Nah, but I mean,
that's a lot of cops at a school.
But the funniest part is and I'll be honest with you, I've been over there during the school hours. You have to. They're kind of strategic about where they are. So you're not seeing them.
Okay.
Like, every moment you turn around, you're not seeing cops. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, when you think about the size of the average high school, though, 5 to 8 people is not a lot of human beings. I mean, the school is huge. When the bell ring and all of the crowd, when the bell ring and everybody going from classes, I mean, the hallway's loaded with people. 5 to 8 people is actually not a lot of them.
No, it's not, but it's enough to. It's enough.
It's enough to find a guy who's shooting people up pretty quick.
Yeah, that, and I mean, a lot of the times, like, what'll happen is they stay somewhere near the entrances.
Okay.
And they like bounce from interest to interest. But those main entrances that they don't lock, there's an officer in that area at all times. But the rest of them pretty much just go check to make sure all the rest of them are locked and coordinate with each other about if something is unlocked. They'll go look in that area, make sure everything's straight. Stuff like that.
Right. But my guess is what I said earlier, though. Even if we did some of these security measures for schools to make students safer, I think they would just, because there are so many places you can get kids, field trips, recess. When the parents are coming to picking them up in front of the school, there's gonna be kids all over the place walking to parents' cars and walking home. They would just do it on the outside of the school. I mean, a lot of schools have, they're in residential neighborhoods. So okay, you know the neighbors are at work. You just walk on the side of their house and hide in the bushes with your AR. And when people come out of the school, you light up the front door. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. Even if you make the school a fortress, they gotta come out.
Yeah, and see that's the problem. See, only thing we can do is work to try to keep them safe while they're in school. Once they step out that door, like you said, a person like the I no, I'm not getting into that, but
We know where you're going. In other words, people can lose their lives in places other than just in the school.
yeah, I mean, you can walk out of school and something like
Yeah.
you said, you can walk out of school. Somebody could be 130
Right.
yards away and just have fun. Mentally,
Yeah, because it's gonna be children everywhere. The minute that bell ring, there's gonna be October 7th in Israel. I mean, it's gonna be kids walking around everywhere. I mean, so
The thing is though, like, man, if a lot of people did the training, and if you added training, mandatory training, and you added, responsibilities. Like, I'm sorry, I own weapons. If somebody steals my weapon and I do not call it in stolen the moment I realize it's stolen, and somebody a day later somebody goes and pew pew somebody, then yes, I should be held responsible also
for not
because
reporting.
as an owner, I should have noticed when I noticed that thing was gone. I should have been on the phone then. Hey, look, I need to report a stolen gun.
Well, then you would just but then you would just lie when you found out somebody did. Well, I actually didn't know it was taken, even though you might have known a week ago. You're just gonna lie and say you didn't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is this right here. These people walk up to their cars. They know they keep their car. They keep them in the dash, right? Or they keep them in the center console.
Or under the seat, glove compartment.
If your car got broken into, you did some kind of report to get that window fixed, right?
Maybe.
9 times out of 10, you're gonna do a report.
No, like I said, I'm from the south side of Chicago. Remember the old snatch out radios and shit? I've had people I've had my car broken into probably damn near a dozen times. I never called the cops. The cops ain't gonna do shit. They ain't gonna do. You just gotta go to the junkyard and get your window fixed. The cops ain't gonna do nothing for you. Insurance, the insurance premium is higher than the cost of fixing it. So you gotta just eat that.
Well, I mean, I'm similar to you because I had the stereo systems, back in the 90s and 80s,
Right.
when the stereo systems to cars. I had all that in my car when I got mine, and like, I don't care if my window got broken or anything. I called State Farm. It didn't cost me anything to get it. As long as I did that police report, I didn't have a deductible.
What was the purpose of even calling the cops, though? I mean, the cops ain't gonna find the guy. The insurance is cheaper to fix the window yourself at a junkyard than pay the $500 deductible or whatever it is for insurance. It's actually cheaper to just fix it. So I mean,
Well, I guess with me, that's where I was at an advantage at, because on like break-ins and stuff. If I did a report, I didn't have a deductible. I still don't. If you break in my car right now, I still don't have a deductible for replacing a window as long as I do a police report.
Oh, I had that. Okay, all right then.
So that's why I was doing that. But yeah, I mean, even with them trying to say, you can tell, especially when it comes to a weapon, you can tell if somebody's lying about they didn't know. No one.
I don't buy that. Wait, wait. If somebody tell you they didn't know their, if somebody tell you their weapon was, they didn't know their weapon was stolen, you say you can tell they're lying?
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm a gun owner. I am a gun owner, dude. Before I started learning to do the gunsmithing, I turned around and I took mine to a smith, and I forgot I took it to the smith. I got on the phone, called it in stolen. 2 days later, the smith called me. I called him and said, "Hey, no, it wasn't stolen." You know, I had to actually explain to them what happened. You know, and because I'm a truck driver, you know, I have so much stuff going. I actually dropped it off on the way to go do a run.
And you just forgot about it. You sound like
I just
that sound like some
had going, and I forgot what I did.
that sound like some Hunter Biden's laptop type shit. I gotta move it on. You forgot what a laptop is. I appreciate you coming on, Anthony.
I keep up with my laptops.
Hey, Hunter Biden could have learned a lot from you, man. Thank you. Thanks for coming through.
A bunch of them can.
Oh my God, crazy. Looking in the comments, I want to respond to a super chat. Will G says, what is that? If you have to stay armed, even to take a dump, you got some ops, you are not a normal person. Well, a lot of firearms carriers just simply want to feel safe. It ain't that they all got ops. I mean, I know some firearm owners that are like what my last two callers were. Both of my last callers carrying guns in the shitter. Wow. I don't think it's always that they got ops. They just, America's a violent society and they want to be prepared. I don't think it's that they all just have ops like that. Some people just, I don't want to say paranoid, but some people, I mean, I know some folks who will tell you, I keep my gun on me like pants in public. In other words, if I got pants on, I got a gun on me. Like they just carry everywhere. And I'm sure I got viewers out here watching now that are like that as well. Just some people are like that. It ain't that they got ops. Just some people, treat a firearm like insurance. You just never go out without it. And you said the Second Amendment was made to squash slave revolts. Just scared white men having nightmares. Damn, Will. He says the slave the Second Amendment was created to squash slave revolts. Is that true? Just scared white men having nightmares. Is that true though? No, is it? Now you got me wanting to do some homework. Continuing on. Think about it. White people pick fights with black people all the time until it comes time to really fight. And it's the first thing they do is they grab a gun. Now that does happen sometimes, but I don't know if that's a white-black thing. I mean, because there's plenty of black people that get in fights. Kids nowadays, they don't know how to duke it out. They just grab a gun. I don't know if that's a white-black thing, but we can talk about George Zimmerman, and I say that all the time. George Zimmerman, Kyle Rittenhouse, Daniel Perry, not the guy in New York, Daniel Perry, another white guy that killed some Black Lives Matter protesters down in Austin, Texas, and he was pardoned by Texas Governor Greg Abbott in another very controversial case. But yeah, those are all white guys in my opinion. Rittenhouse, George Zimmerman, and Daniel Perry. They are white guys in my opinion that only acted the way they acted because they had a gun on. I do believe there are people like that. They get a gun, they feel like it's a sense of power, and they deliberately put themselves in dangerous situations. I mean, not Kyle Rittenhouse, but George Zimmerman chasing Trayvon Martin off into the night like that. Everybody says Trayvon Martin was much bigger and stronger. He's not going to do that if he doesn't have a gun. He did that because he was armed. And certainly Kyle Rittenhouse ain't going to be nowhere near that riot if he's not armed. So some people do put themselves in a dangerous environment simply because they know they have a gun. And in my opinion, if you are armed, if you are armed and you deliberately put yourself in a dangerous situation, I don't think you should be able to use a stand your ground defense, because this event would not have happened if you weren't armed. You deliberately put yourself in harm's way so that you could possibly shoot someone. I don't think you should be able to use a stand your ground defense if you are the one that deliberately put yourself in a bad situation. I know some folks might disagree. Fair enough. There's another guy down in Florida. I can't recall his name. He was an elderly man that got into an argument with a black couple. Black man pulls up to a gas station to go in and buy some shit. Parked in a handicapped parking lot. Might have been the wife driving. I don't know which one was driving, but they parked in a handicapped parking lot. There's an old white guy out in front of the gas station. He don't even have a fucking car. And he's going off. The boyfriend gets out of the car and goes in the gas station. He's going off on the wife, or the girlfriend rather, that's still in the car, about them parking in a handicap. He doesn't work for the gas station or anything. Just somebody walking around starting shit with somebody that done parked in a handicapped spot. And he's going off on the girlfriend, who's black and he's white and he's elderly. Boyfriend comes out. The boyfriend is also a younger man, younger black male, much bigger and stronger than the elderly guy that's going off on the girlfriend. Anyway, he shoves and pushes the white guy to the ground. That's all he did. He shoved and pushed the white guy to the ground. Seen him arguing with his girlfriend. Shoved and pushed him to the ground. He doesn't have a right to put his hands on the old man. But that's what he did. He shoved and pushed him to the ground. The old man pulled out a pistol and shot the black dude in the chest and killed him. Just like with George Zimmerman, the cops instantly did a snappy investigation, gave the old man his gun back, and deemed nothing wrong happened. It was justified. That's the type of shit I'm talking about. You're out here arguing with people because you know you got a gun in your pocket. I don't think you should be able to use the stand your ground defense if you are deliberately picking fights and getting into drama. This ain't stand your ground. You're putting yourself in bad situations because you know you can shoot your way out of it. You wouldn't do this stuff. Take the gun away. None of those people would do this stuff. So that's when I think the stand your ground case goes too far. That would be like me going to let's say a white supremacist or a Klan rally or something. Just walk into their shit and start saying all kinds of awful stuff to them, knowing that they're going to want to beat my ass, but because I got a firearm on me, I can mow them all down and claim. I don't think you should be able to do that. You wouldn't walk in here like this if you didn't have that pistol on you. I don't think you should be able to do that. But unfortunately in America, they oh my God, I don't think you should be able to do that is my point. I see in the comments somebody saying Diddy did it. What did P. Diddy do with a firearm? And if he did, I don't believe he should be able to get away with it either. I don't think you should be able to deliberately put yourself in harm's way so you can hurt people. A lot of entitled people feel the right to interject themselves in things that don't concern them. True. And if you do that and you have to shoot your way out of it, I don't think you should be able to use the stand your ground defense. I don't think a Karen, for instance, I think that's what they call them, a Karen. You're getting involved in this shit. You have no, I don't think you should be able to use that. This wouldn't have happened if you weren't meddling in something that didn't have nothing to do with you. So, no, I'm not a fan of that. Did he put a hit out on Tupac? Okay, you're going, look, that shit happened in 96, so I don't want to go too deep into something you're talking about 30 years ago. Everybody has guns in Arizona and less gun violence. Phoenix is not known for being, for lacking of crime. Now, Arizona may have a few issues that make it. First of all, it's 100 and some degrees outside every damn day. You know, it ain't exactly conducive to standing on the corner and getting in robberies and shit like that. 110 degrees, 120 degrees. But Arizona, a lot of that's rural as hell, and the urban areas in Arizona are not low crime. Phoenix has plenty of crime in it. I mean, Sheriff Joe Arpaio used to say it all the time how much crime there is. So I don't buy that Arizona has more guns and less crime. Arizona has more guns and less population. A large portion of Arizona is damn near uninhabitable. Aaron M. sounds racist. Who is Aaron M.? I didn't see that comment. I'd be curious to see it. I live right here in Arizona, Glendale, says, well, like I said, shows like Cops and things like that have made it clear that there's plenty of crime in Phoenix. Phoenix, Arizona is not that. You telling me Phoenix, Arizona, for its size, is a fairly safe city? I haven't seen anything to illustrate that. 6 months out of the year, beautiful weather still less gun violence. Okay, all right. You say Arizona is a very safe state to live in. Now, New Jersey and New York are far more populated. Looking in the comments real quick before I move it on. That's crazy saying white people pick fights though. I don't know what I'm looking at. That's true. They should. No, yeah. If you deliberately get in a fight and you got to shoot your way out of it, to me that should be the end. Like George Zimmerman there's no way in hell he should be able to use a stand your ground defense. You're on the phone with 911. You believe that Trayvon Martin is a thief. Now you're completely wrong on that. I think that even with the whole court case that George Zimmerman beat, one thing is 100% certain. Trayvon Martin was not committing any crime in terms of how George Zimmerman saw him walking through the neighborhood. These punks always get away thinking he's breaking in houses. The evidence shows that he was completely wrong on how he prejudged Trayvon Martin. And that wrongful judgment led him to go chasing this guy down in the wee hours of the morning. Now, we don't know what happened when he caught up with him because we only have George Zimmerman's word to take, Trayvon Martin being killed. But what do you think is going to happen if you believe somebody is a thief and you run up to them at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning? How does that conversation go? You don't have any legal right to detain them. They probably have a reason to be scared as shit of who you are. Like, why are you coming up to me in the middle of the night? I'm just walking to get where I'm going, and you walking up to me. So, if I had to speculate, with George Zimmerman already on the phone with 911 saying the guy's a thief, he might have caught up to him and tried to hold him at gunpoint or tried to detain him or at the very least demanded he let him pat him down or something like that. How do you get off or stay your ground on some shit like that? Because the way George Zimmerman made it sound like he caught up with Trayvon Martin and somehow Trayvon Martin just started beating him up for no reason at all. And people bought that. People actually bought that. That he caught up with this guy. The dude just started beating the hell out of him for no reason at all, and he had to shoot him in self-defense. And people actually bought that. Your arguments are weak, says Ben. All right, fair enough. I'll leave it alone, but I disagree with you 100%. If there was no crime, there would be no prisons in Arizona. Well, he didn't say there was no crime. He said it's low crime. He said it's low crime. I haven't heard that Arizona's all crime-free like he's saying, but I've only driven through Arizona. I haven't really had a lot of experience in Arizona. The quote about the gun being the equalizer is God created men. Colonel Colt made them equal. Oh, God created men. Colonel Colt made them equal. You're not equal though, because some people can shoot better than others. You're not. You can hand a Colt 45 to everybody in America. They ain't all equal. Some people are better, more proficient at using a weapon. It sounds great for the whole 2A side of things, but you're not equal just because somebody gives you a gun. Plenty of people own firearms that don't know how to shoot. So you ain't equal if you don't know how to handle the weapon. Luis Perez says, fuck everybody. Damn. It's only sad that people focus on what the media tells them to. I think everybody in America just about does that, Aaron. I think everybody in America just about does that. We often talk about, let's say people of color focus on race because the media tells them to. Well, the transgender issue that was big, just having big discussion in MAGA circles, the media is telling you to do that. I'd submit to you probably at least 90% of Trump supporters are not dealing with transgender individuals. They're not playing in sports against your daughter in school. You're not sitting in the bathroom and all of a sudden some dude comes in a dress. You're not dealing with it at all. Yet it was a big issue among conservatives. The media told you that. So when you say, well, people are only going by this because of me, yeah, well, that's a good example of it. The whole issue with transgender was media driven. Most Americans have no interaction with transgender people. It's not enough of them. It's not enough of them. And you got people screaming all over the place. I don't want my kids being affected by these people. Your kids ain't being affected by these people. So the media did that. So yeah, I agree with you. The media, the Haitian migrant thing I keep bringing up. Ain't nobody dealing with that in real life. It's the media that's telling you that's happening. 0.6% are trans. Is it that many of them? Is it that high? 0.6% of Americans are trans? No. No way. It can't be that high. No. Okay, 0.06%. All right, that sounds better, Big Rooster. Maybe 0.06%. It ain't 0.6%. No way, no how it would be that many of them. Google it. I'm not, and I want to know what source said it on Google, because sometimes you can Google something and the source can still be wrong. But yeah, I do believe that the media does have an effect on the people. I mean, like the drones. The drones are scaring the shit out of people. Most Americans do not have drones flying over their house. It's not, the media is telling you this stuff. So yeah, the media has a big play in it. Can't have trans teaching our kids. But you're okay with religion in schools? Religion has done way more to violate the innocence of your kids than the transgender community being 0.06% of the population. Get them about 50 years of abusing your kids, and they might be equal to what religious leaders have done to kids in this country. They're way behind the curve. Yet we're putting Bibles and shit in schools. I mean, they're not even remotely close to just the Catholic Church alone. And I'm not even talking about the Mormons, Lutherans. Christianity has been far more violating to your children than the transgender community ever will be. What was I looking at here in the comments there? Stand Your Ground works well for white people in the South, but it is damn near not available to blacks, says Anthony. That's an interesting point. I don't know, because I don't live in the South, but I've never heard of any main case where a black person, I do know one. I was going to say, I've never heard of a case where a black person used Stand Your Ground against someone white. But I do know of a case, and it was somewhat well known. There were 3 white guys. This guy was sitting in a Waffle House. Some of you probably have seen it because it's been on everything from the Active Self-Protection channel on down. But this guy was sitting in a Waffle House, and 3 white guys walked in there saying all kinds of racist stuff, and one of them punched the dude in the face, and he shot and killed one of them, and he got off. Stand your ground. So there is one case I can think of a black guy using a firearm on somebody white and getting away with it. It is usually the other way around, but that's an example where I know for a fact somebody white died at the hands of a black person. And that was in the South, because that's where I think all of the Waffle Houses are in the South. I don't know any of them up north, and they got away with it. He got away with it. Trump walked the trans issue back like he was moonwalking. He did. He did say something to the effect where I don't really care who's using bathrooms and it's only a small percent of the population. He has begun doing that because I think the goal was to get elected. Once I get elected, I ain't gonna sweat the small stuff. I'll use this shit if it helps me get back in the White House. And once I'm in the White House, that little stuff won't matter. And I don't think it's gonna matter that much to MAGA either, because most Trump supporters are not really dealing with transgender people. They're just not. Even in terms of schools that may even talk about this stuff, that ain't gonna happen in the South. They're not. You don't even need Trump in office. They were gonna stop that shit anyway. So most Trump supporters are not dealing with this stuff. It's the media hyping it up. Tim, are you trans? Asked Trey Bay. I must have been born a girl, because I know I look like a motherfucking guy. So if I'm trans, I must have been born a girl. I'll leave it at that. What does that say? Ramones believes everything Trump says. All right. Trump is a pussy, says Louis Perez. You guys, is it getting late? Maybe it's getting late. Maybe I need to stop this. You guys are getting kind of crazy in here. The trans non-binary is between zero point 0.5 and 1.6. The figure is not just trans. You know, I'm an old man. I don't. Some of these things. I know what L means. I know what G means. I know what B means. I know what T. LGBT. Once you start getting to the Q, the I, A, and all them other letters, I don't know what the fuck that stuff means. I consider myself an ally of the LGBT community, but it gets complicated at that point. I know Q means queer. What the fuck is that? What is that? I mean, why do I need to know you are queer? What is that? So at some point, it does get to be complicated. Like I said, I know what a lesbian is. I know what somebody who's bi is. LGB, obviously T is trans and G is gay. I know what those four are. All the rest of that shit, I don't. What does the I stand for? LGBTQ, queer is Q. IA, what is? I don't even know what those things stand for. Yeah, it's getting late. It's getting late. That's because I don't know what any of that stuff stands for. And I will say this: not only do I not know what it stands for, I don't understand why in the hell do you need to tell somebody you are any of that stuff. Let's say I know kind of what poly means. It means you conform to. Why does somebody need to know you're that? Now, I don't want to sound like I'm putting on my MAGA hat on this one, but why does somebody need to know in school that a underage juvenile is bisexual, for instance, or queer or curious? These are some of the other. Why does that even need to come out in school? I do agree with that. There's no need for that. If you want to talk about what it means, I don't know. We can go into that. But why does a teacher and staff and other students need to know that you're queer? I mean, I don't understand that. So yeah, I am a bit. I don't want to say old fashioned. I'll say ignorant. I'm ignorant on this stuff. I don't understand why it's necessary to know that. Because that's what they are teaching the kids, says Sheldon. I don't see where there's any reason why somebody needs to know that you're curious and you're in 5th grade. Curious about what? Curious about how much allowance you're getting? Why does somebody need to know that you're curious at that age? Transgender got Obama elected. That's not true. Ramona, you said transgenders got Obama elected with the other blacks that he bamboozled. The transgender issue was not even a concern during the Obama administration. He passed a law allowing gays, same sex, to get married, and that shit was controversial. They weren't even really talking about the transgender community during the Obama years. That ain't transgender had nothing to do with Obama getting elected. Straight men is the minority. Where are you living at? You must be living in a gay bar to say some shit like that. Straight men are the minority. Yeah, you must be fucking living in a gay bar. I feel the info is out so people can come to grips with their identity. Yeah, maybe. I'm just simply saying, even if your identity is curious, why does anybody need to know that? Why do you need to tell somebody that you're curious? I mean, if I'm not trying to holler at you, you don't even need to know that I'm straight, to be honest with you. I mean, if I'm at work and I'm just working, do they need to know what my sexuality is? Now, if you want to put a picture of your wife or your boyfriend on your desk or something, they're gonna find out. But do you need to go around just announcing to people, hey, I'm bi? Why do they need to know that? You trying to fuck your office members? So I don't understand. That is something that has made the LGBTQ community unpopular. Like, you're invoking this shit in places that don't really need to be invoked. It doesn't. Okay, you're queer. You're queer. Why are you telling me that? At a job application. I mean, you're not going to be using that here. You came here to type. You're not going to be using that. Ed G says L is gay. That's not. L is gay, G is gay, P is gay, T is gay. They just want attention. That's not true. Well, maybe Ed, you always make me work. Now, I guess if you're a lesbian, yeah, that is gay. That is because we think gay is basically liking your own sex. You're attracted to members of your own sex. So the L, I guess, is gay. Obviously, the G equals gay. If you're bi, is that gay? I mean, I think it's because we treat gay women differently than gay men, is where I'm pushing back. If you are a gay woman, or if you're a bisexual woman, you are totally welcome among straight men. If I don't, men don't give a damn how many other chicks a chick has been with. You still good to go with us too. But if you're a gay man and you trying to holler at some chick and you tell her, well, before you I was dating another dude, you get disqualified. Better yet, straight women do not fuck with gay dudes. They don't have no sexually. They don't want. Once you tell them, like we could think of some attractive women. Everybody from the Jennifer Anistons to the Holly Berrys, or what. You wouldn't give a damn if they had prior intimacy with another woman. But think of some dudes: Idris Elba, George Clooney. If women found out those dudes had a prior experience with a man, they would wipe them completely off of People magazine. They would suddenly not be sexy anymore. So the women don't tolerate it like the men do. The women do not want anything to do with some dude that has slept with another dude. They do not tolerate that. You can do it in front of a dude's face and he'll join in with it. I mean, okay, yeah, you got a chicken, bring them both over. Dudes are okay with that. So it's a difference there. But yeah, if a woman finds out their sex symbol had a prior relationship with another dude, that's usually it. They will no longer be a sex symbol. So we do treat the I think we do treat gay women differently than we treat gay men. It's more acceptable for a woman to have a lesbian encounter than it is for a man. In this country, at least. I don't know where else, but in this country, they treat it differently. If I get locked up, I'm going to tell the judge I identify as a free man when they say I'm guilty. Good luck with that, Anthony. Good luck with that. Do females like gay porn? I'm assuming, yeah, there are females out there that watch it. Yeah. Not two dudes, but I'm assuming if you're a female and you like watching same-sex porn, you probably are a same-sex person. That's just the way it is. I mean, if I walked in, and found out one of my boys was sitting around watching two dudes bang each other, there's no way he could tell me he wasn't gay. You like this? Yeah, then like I said, this is the old look. At the end of the day, anybody my age, we all once you have grown up in the 70s, 80s, you probably got a little bit of homophobia in you. That's just the way it was. And like I said, we don't have the same open-mindedness of modern day children. One of my boys tell me he like watching gay porn, he becomes suspect instantly. We don't view that the same. Nowadays kids are a little bit different. Male female marriage 27%, divorce rate make male 40%, women 60%. I don't know where you're going with that. You say the male female marriage 27% divorce rate. Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say there, Sheldon. Calm her down, or Eminem, Slim Shady is deceased. Yeah. All right, it's getting late. Some of these comments coming in. I guess it might be time to wrap this shit up. I do appreciate you folks as always tuning in. I didn't ask nobody to tap the like button today, so it was not like I normally like to have it, but it is what it is. It's natural for a man to have more than one wife. What country you live in? It's natural for a man to have more. It's natural for a man maybe to be attracted to more than one woman, but it's not natural. I'll tell you something. If you left it up to nature, most men would never get married. So it ain't. I mean, most men only get married because the chick is pushing towards it. I don't think most dudes would probably even. That's a woman thing where women want to get married. Dudes don't even want that shit. So you say it's natural for a man to have more than one wife. Hey, shit, most dudes don't even want to get married unless the woman is pushing on that shit. Take care, my friend. I enjoyed the convo. Thank you, Ben. I will catch you guys tomorrow. You know how I run the program. I do got to step away. I got to work for the man in the morning. So, as always, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you on my YouTube vertical. I'll go ahead and wrap that up. And thank you, folks, on horizontal. Catch you tomorrow.